Student Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. At this point, we will have, yes? Oh, okay, I was just gonna say, if you wanted to lead us in the flag salute, so now you're gonna do it. Vice President Eno. The Chancellor's gonna do a special rendition of.
Yes. Thank you, Board President Vela, members of the board. Good afternoon. Colleagues, what a special day we had yesterday, July 4th, for a variety of reasons. One, first and foremost, it allows us to reflect on the meaning of indeed independence as we continue to strive for justice, equity, harmony in this country. But also, it gives us an opportunity to play and to pay tribute to one of the most fabled songs that represent this country's independence, and that's the Star Spangled Banner. And I've got a special opportunity here that I'm going to ask Dr. Jim Lancaster to tee up. This is the LACD College's Latin version of the Star Spangled Banner, and I'd like Jim to introduce our colleagues who are here from LACD College, and then we'll roll video. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Chancellor and board, for allowing us to play this today. This was actually performed at the commencement. So the recent commencement in June, there was a rendition of this, and it was very hard if you're up on stage just not to sort of move up there and still try to stay stoic and professional. But it was a lot of fun, and Trustee Hoffman was there with us, and it was awesome. I want to introduce a few folks who made this happen. First is Dr. Christine Park. She's our department chair of the music department. You know, she is the master of Kaizen, always improving the department and the programs. And she was the one that really came to me and says, hey, we want to make this happen. We want to do something really big for the 4th of July and see if we can get this video out and produce it. And I was like, yes. And she had just come off of producing the LACC's first World Music Festival. So that was exciting. Also, and Christine's back here. You want to stand up, raise your hand. And Cassandra Kokochis, who's also here with baby Daphne, by the way, her newborn. Cassandra's been an adjunct with us for a while. She was our dual enrollment faculty coordinator for a bit. And last spring, she joined us as full-time faculty. Cassandra actually developed our salsa ensemble during her adjunct time. And there was a great video that she produced, the La Carnival, it's actually on my playlist. It's a great song that was done during the pandemic. And she's also put on one of our best concerts, which was a flamenco night, which was really awesome. Euro Zambrano really was the brains behind this arrangement, and he's really owed the credit for this. Euro is joining us this summer or September as full-time faculty. He's been adjunct with us for a couple of semesters. He is a Latin Grammy Award nominee. He is the drummer for Shaka Khan and Stevie Wonder. And he's just been an awesome pickup for the campus and to have him with us. And so what you're going to see is his direction, his production, his arrangement, his creativity, along with the energy and the talents of the Los Angeles City College music students, with whom a couple of them joined us today. And so Cinnamon La Canela, who's the singer in the video, she just graduated with her associate degree in music this June. She's with us. And she had awesome shoes at commencement, by the way. It was fantastic. And they were stars and stripes. And then Omar Hernandez, who is playing the guitar in the video, he's here as well. And so with that, that's the team. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's awesome.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, como se mueve. Mira cómo se mueve mi bandera. The land of the free and of the brave. From every girl to every boy, from every woman to every man. Es tú quieras, mi tierra. This land was made for you and me. Let freedom song ring. Mi bandera. The land of the free and of the brave. America, oh, stay, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, como se mueve. Mira cómo se mueve mi bandera.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely fantastic. And if we haven't submitted it to the Smithsonian, we should do that right away. It really is telling of how diverse this country is. And I mean, just how you can blend so many cultures into one patriotic message. So congratulations. That was fantastic. Unbelievable. Again, could not congratulate you more on what a great job. Good job.
Woo!
All right. And again, I hope everyone did have a fantastic 4th of July. Next, we would like to adjourn in the meeting, actually in the memory of Mr. Peter Bostic. And I know Trustee Hoffman, if you could say a couple of things for us, or would you like to say a couple of things on the memory of Mr. Bostic? I'm sorry, Mr. Onceja?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, President Vela. So today we are going to adjourn in the memory of Art Forcier. And I actually didn't know him personally, but I know many people who knew Mr. Forcier. He was a political science professor at East LA College and served as the political director of AFT 1521 for many years, beginning in the early 1970s through the early 2000s. So like about 30 years, I believe. I only know him through the stories of a very good friend of mine named Larry Levine, who worked really closely with Art Forcier for many years. And he has some just fabulous stories about Art. Not only did he advocate for better wages and working conditions for faculty, he worked closely with generations of trustees to advocate for the district in the legislature and to forge successful working relations between the guild and the trustees. He died in his home in Laguna Woods. He was 92 years old. And Barbara Dunsheath is going to have a celebration of life at her house on August 6th. So I think it's open and everybody is invited, but I wanted to make sure that we adjourned in his memory. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd also like to, the board will also adjourn in the memory of Mr. Peter Bostic. Mr. Bostic's presence and contributions to the Harbor College family was significant and touched lives of many of our colleagues and students. He was unapologetic, passionate, committed, and never wavered in helping students in the time of need. Before, during, and after the pandemic, Peter was the first one to set up a hand up to provide students with food, computers, emergency funds that he raised through his role as LA Harbor College Foundation director. Mr. Bostic will be remembered for his positive impact, dedication, and the lasting impression he made on us and the many lives he touched and made a difference for. Peter's presence will be greatly missed. So you see a picture there of Mr. Bostic. So, okay, next is our approval of agenda, order of business. The LA Community College District recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Kiz, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders, descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to the truth, healing, and reconciliation of elevating stories, culture, and community of the original habitats of LA County. Before we take a motion to approve the order of business, Chancellor, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Board President Vela, there is one change I'd like the board to note, item U15.
Mm.
There's an error in the funding source. It says HERF, federal HERF dollars, but it should read the funding source district-wide academic software fund. So please note that. Item U15, the funding source should read district-wide academic software funds. No other changes, sir.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda and order of business?
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
second by Henderson. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna. Trustee Henderson. Trustee Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, great. Next is approval of minutes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the regular board meeting and closed session minutes of June 7th, 2023? Moved by Henderson,
Okay.
second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, reports from representatives of employee organizations. Do any members of the resource table wish to be recognized at this time? Please come up to the podium.
Good afternoon, everybody. I
Good
hope you had a
afternoon.
wonderful 4th of July. I was actually at Weston Lake College yesterday, enjoyed the fireworks there. So first of all, I want to congratulate our new student trustee, Alexi Cordova. I was not here last month, but I watched very intently. I watched the video and I'm writing my report right now. So congratulations and welcome.
you.
forward. I also want to introduce my colleague, Jeffrey Hernandez. Jeffrey is a former student from East LA College. He was back in the 80s, I think, started as a student at East LA College. He'll tell you that he is one of those students who actually benefited from some of our remedial offerings here in our district, and he became a faculty member in 2000. So he's our new first vice president for the DAS. So I just want to give him a moment to introduce himself, and then I'm going to make a few more remarks.
Of course, you saw me last month, but today is official, right, as a first vice president of the District Academic Senate, and it's a pleasure to have this new role. I can tell you that it's hard to imagine from my days when I started off at East LA College that I'd be here today. I, yes, definitely benefited from the English 60s class I had, where I really benefited from the paragraph construction before I went on to be an English 101 honors and the first year of the honors program at East LA College. It's so weird to say that. And yes, I did not take art course here, but boy, was he a firebrand and a wonderful colleague when I joined the department. So I'm so glad that he's being recognized here today. That's all I'll say for now, and that's back.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, we also have a new professional development coordinator, Brett Lourdes, retired. or is retiring in a month or so. So Adrian Brown from Harbor College, a counselor, and who's also sitting on the Board of Governors, will be coordinating the District Academic Senate's professional development efforts. So we're very excited to have her on board. And we have Barbara Anderson from Pierce as our new treasurer. We also have 6 new academic senate presidents in the district. So we're going to have a lot of new ideas, fresh people, a very diverse group. So we're very excited to move forward. As I was watching the board meeting of last month very closely, I noticed that a number of questions came up about curriculum in particular. And I just wanted to offer our willingness and availability to hold office hours for any of the board members who may have questions about curriculum. I think it's a better use of everyone's time if we clear up those questions before the board meeting. And we are available and willing. So I just wanted to state for the record that that is something that I, Jeff, and our curriculum chair are willing to do. I think that would be a very productive way of addressing any concerns that might arise. So thank you very much. And again, congratulations to our student trustee. We look forward to working with all of you in the next year.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else from the resource table also on Zoom that would like to speak? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, in the meantime, let me go ahead and acknowledge today. We're very happy to have Ernesto Medrano here with the LA Trade. Why don't you come on up, Ernesto, and talk a little bit about what we're going to be taking up today. We're excited.
Absolutely. Members of the board, chancellor, executive team. My name is Ernesto Medrano, representing the Los Angeles and Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council, and we're very excited to be here. We've enjoyed a great partnership with the College District. We've been able to provide the best skilled and trained workforce. We've been able to provide you with local residents, veteran preferential dispatch, and we also have the apprenticeship readiness curriculum that we are been able to place young men and women that have been through the courses and put them in an apprenticeship program and put them on the pathway to the middle class to earn good union wages, benefits, retirement, and all the good things that collective bargaining provide us with. However, I understand that November 8th, 2022, we passed a bond of over $5 billion, and we want to urge this body to approve and vote to put it in the project labor agreement that we currently have. We want to continue that partnership. We want to continue to provide you with the best workforce, no strike, no lockout, no interruption, the best skilled labor that you're going to find, and folks from our community that are going to be very excited to work in Los Angeles for Los Angeles Community College District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medrano. We look forward to that. I want to thank my colleagues for getting that bond approved, and then also want to thank you and the trades for always being a partner, in particular with our apprenticeships, because I do believe that that is one of the ways to get our folks into great paying jobs in the counties. So thank you so much. Okay. I think now we're going to go ahead and call on the people online. Yeah, we have Dr. James McKeever with AFT 1521. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sorry I couldn't join you face to face today. As you know, our contract has expired and we are working hard in contract negotiations to get our members a fair contract. I hope all of you had a good 4th of July. Great way to end the holiday with the LACD College amazing rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. It's the first time I heard it and wanted to start dancing. I want to let you know, I've been coaching little kids in LA City Parks and Recreation since I was 13 years old. Year to year, nothing stopped me till COVID. This year, I went back to coaching at Humphrey Park in Pacoima. On the first night of games, a man approached me saying, "You look familiar." I told him, "Oh, I used to coach at Valley Plaza." He asked me if my son was left-handed. I said, "Yes, my 41-year-old son is left-handed and played with this gentleman when they were 12 years old, nearly 30 years ago." This Saturday after practice, the mother of one of my kids I'm coaching came up to me and said, "You used to teach me at Valley College." She said, "I did the math and that was 14 years ago." She also told me that she was now going back to school and getting her master's in sociology, and I was the reason why. Interactions like this were so common when my kids and I rented a house in the low-income end of North Hollywood, where I coached at Valley Plaza and where I taught over at Valley College. People used to approach me all the time, and I would turn to my kids and jokingly say, "See, I'm hood famous." These interactions are essential for building and supporting and maintaining a community. Randomly running into a mentor or professor allows people to catch up and offer advice and encouragement to our former students, mentees, and even their children. It is lifelong teaching and mentorship. It also allows us to be ambassadors for our colleges to the local community. This happens less for me now since I could only afford a house in Sylmar during the recession and live on the other side of the San Fernando Valley and away from North Hollywood. I can't afford to live near my Pierce College campus. I feel less connected to the Conoga Park, Reseda, Winnetka, and Woodland Hills communities that feed our campus, excuse me. Our wages have not kept up with inflation or the cost of housing in Los Angeles. Many of my fellow faculty are not even lucky enough to be able to buy a house at all, let alone close to campus. We will have increasing trouble getting future highly qualified professors to work for our district when they can't find better wages in areas with lower costs of living. When they can find, better wages in areas with lower cost of living. Most faculty want to do more to support our students and communities. Still, long commute times coupled with family obligations make this difficult to have any work-life balance. We don't need to be hood famous, but we do need your support so we can continue to service our hoods. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, Dr. Kiever. Is there anyone else from the resource table that would like to speak that's on Zoom? Do we have anyone else? Okay, we do.
Yes.
All right, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're on.
Okay, good afternoon, Board of Trustees and Chancellor. My name is Chrisano Zan, representing SEAU Local 99. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. I want to first congratulate our student trustee. We look forward to working with you. And I also want to first thank the board for today's resolution for recognizing Gloria Molina, former Los Angeles County Board Supervisor, Labor and Community Activist, for all the work she's done and accomplished, particularly with the Hispanic community. I have a lot of respect for her and her work. She was a trailblazer. I was very saddened by her passing. And I agree, the board should honor her legacy and what she's done for everyone, and recognize what the accomplishment, what she stood for. However, no disrespect to Miss Molina. I don't think the board should disregard and discount the contributions that was made to ELAC by actor Vincent Price. From my understanding, the museum was named after him because he wanted students to be more involved with arts. And when he died, he donated a lot of his money and some of his art collections to the museum, which why it was named in his honor. So I just want to say that if the board is going to pass the resolution where the name is changed, then I just want the board to, I don't know, also acknowledge the contributions that Mr. Price did for ELAC. And then also I wanted to also mention that last month, Local 99 had a recognition ceremony for all Local 99 members. It was at Trade Tech. I want to thank Trustee Buena for attending the event. We appreciate you coming there. I know we invited, the other Board of Trustees, and I know some of you guys had other, things that you couldn't make it, but hopefully next time you can make it. Also, I also want to bring up, I want to talk about, so the district sent out a notice of outstanding work performance. And the concern I have with that is that we have at least 5,000 to 10,000 employees working for the district. And I believe only 21 people out the entire district was recognized. And I bring this up because, I think we need to do a better job as far as recognizing, our employees throughout the district. And, 21 people, that's not acceptable. So I just wanted to bring that up. And then also, I wanted to also bring up that, yes, I attended the fireworks show over at West LA. It was great. I think we should do something like that at all the colleges, have a fireworks show for the 4th of July. And lastly, I just want to say that, we still having issues with vacancies not being filled. And I believe this was mentioned at the last board meeting. And so we still have a lot of positions that's not being filled throughout the district, custodian positions, not just Local 99, but trades. We have a lot of trade positions that's not being filled. And I want to bring that to the district as a concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ozanne. Anyone else from the resource table? Do we have anyone else? No? Okay. All right. Thank you all for your reports and appreciate all of your commitment for us. Next, we're going to go ahead and take up, we've received the Chancellor's monthly report, which includes activities at the colleges from all the college presidents. However, do any of the presidents wish to further comment or highlight anything not included in that report? Please come on up to the podium.
Trustees, Dr. Gallagher sends her greetings somewhere off the coast of Canada on a cruise ship to Alaska. Says
Great.
hi. Couple things just to announce. We had a very successful family night on June 15th. We had over 400 prospective students along with their families attend. Started out with an FYE orientation. They talked with FYE counselors and their success coaches. Their families also were shown a lot of the programs that we have and programs perhaps that they might be interested in. We served over 800 burgers from Habit, and all the programs were there. And the students, of course, took a tour based upon their major. Our outreach program continues to conduct enrollment workshops, phone call campaigns, and email campaigns throughout the summer to onboard students for fall 2023. We're continuing to do engagement for campus engagement. We had a very successful movie night on June 22nd. Super Mario Brothers was shown. It was our largest gathering of students so far for a movie night. We had 360 students that attended that night. It was fun. We're kicking off summer boot camps. A lot of them started today. Our FYE summer boot camps have kicked off. We started with our first 150 students. We currently have 720 first-year experienced students matriculated as of today for the fall 2023 cohort and continue to add and sign more up. We also, some of our dual enrollment boot camps kicked off. We had our animation and gaming boot camp kicked off, our health boot camp, theater puppetry, and pop music started as well. A number of research opportunities are going on right now in the summertime. We've got one with USC with their Azure STEM research program, and another one with JPL for emerging technology happening this summer for our students. Our Pathway to Law School Summer Bridge is starting later this month, and we're going to be doing our second cohort for our optician apprenticeship begins July 18th. A couple other exciting things are 2 of our Break It to Make It students or rising scholars, our formerly incarcerated students, are transferring to UCLA this fall. So it's very exciting to see them progressing and moving on. And we're also preparing for the August 12th enrollment fair at our campus. And last, we have a culinary competition with the Culinary Cup. After the video, City would like to propose a similar district-wide competition around music. So if the other colleges are interested, we'd love to see a battle of the bands. Chancellor, that's all from City.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, trustees, Chancellor. I'm here on behalf of President Romani. I'm sure he sends his Hellos and greetings to all. Just sharing a couple of updates for East Los Angeles College. Again, we're all, as our peers here, continuing the efforts in enrollment efforts and really looking at ways on how we connect with our community, ensuring that we provide opportunities for them to have access to enrollment, access to support throughout the day, evenings, through our form banking and different opportunities. One of those I like to note is Taco Tuesdays. So we're inviting our students to come out, hang out with us, eat some tacos, get registered, learn more, get the full wraparound services. Again, we have our teams working together to ensure that our students come through. And again, we eliminate any barriers that may be there for them. Again, thinking about them and also giving the opportunity for them to come to the campus and reconnect. That's important for us to have them come to the campus, see what's happening here, that there's more beyond the virtual connection. Really, the in-person is needed. We also have expanded our partnership with the Montebello Unified School District. We've recently expanded. We're created an AA pathway with them. So all their high schools are we're onboarding students from 8th grade to 9th grade, and we'll start an AA pathway for the students and hopefully graduate in 4 years with their AA degree before they graduate high school. So that we kicked that off. We've been working with them through the dual enrollment, but this is an expansion. That's really a commitment that we're making to them in the community. Also, our foundation, our ELAC Foundation, has donated $10,200 to the ELAC ASU Snack Shack, helping our students, our hungry students. When they come through the doors, they might be hungry. They go to the Snack Shack, they get support and resources for them. So that's a great thing to have for our students as they come to campus. Also, our FYE campus is starting as well. We're excited to say we have over 1,000 students that have committed to East Los Angeles College through our FYE LACP program that help the students come through, connect to courses that are cohorted, that helps them and guides them through the process along the way. Also, we're ready for our upcoming August 12th event. So again, we're going to have our efforts in Southgate and at the main campus in Monterey Park. We're trying to get Pink's hot dogs out there to help our students get fed and get registered. So thank you all, and see you next month.
Thank you very much. President Dorado.
Thank you, and congratulations, Jeffrey. We look forward to working with you. I just want to add a few more items in memory of Peter. Peter received many accolades throughout his career. The city of Santa Ana declared September 25th as Peter Bostic Day because of his work with what he did with the city. Santa Ana College acknowledged him as a Man of the Year. The Long Beach NAACP recognized him as Man of the Year in 2010, and he also received the 100 Black Men of Long Beach Leadership Award. We just want to say that Peter's loss was huge to Harbor College. He revived our foundation program, and a lot of the programs that he put together will be moving forward. And so we are truly honored and blessed that Peter was part of our family. Just a quick announcement. This Saturday, we will be having our concert in the park. We're starting our 75th anniversary kickoff. We're going to be celebrating for a long time because it's a milestone in Harbor College's folklore in the local community. And so it's this Saturday, 5 p.m. and it's a free concert. Bring your picnic basket if you want to join us. Thank you. And it's going to be the Peninsula Symphonic Winds that'll be playing that day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Good afternoon.
President Limbaugh.
First off, we had about 5,000 of our closest friends on West's campus last night for the fireworks. So you enjoyed it, right? Pretty cool. I also thank you all for your support of our climate change initiative. West hosted the Chancellor's Climate Change Conference on June 27th, and it really elevated the awareness of the state in terms of what we're trying to do. In fact, I have 17 faculty members who are on academic development grants who are developing climate-focused curriculum for us to be able to weave through the program. Also mark your calendar for October the 24th, which is the International Day of Climate Action, because the center is going to be inviting representatives of all 19 LA community colleges to meet with representatives of the blue and green industries to discuss job training that's needed in LA County. I want to let you know about a special airline partnership we've just developed with Alaska Airlines. They'll be offering our students to apply for a signing bonus of up to $12,000. They'll be interviewing our students later this month, They'll receive stipends after completing half of our airframe and power plant program. They'll get 5,000 for that. Then after completing our full program, they'll receive another 5,500 and up to 1,800 for testing reimbursement. Now, this is where we all talk about getting students jobs that pay a living wage. And since they're located in Idaho, Seattle, and Washington, they're also going to pay for relocation. In addition, we're meeting the Qantas Airlines next month to establish another partnership that will support our students. And we've been able to do this because of the partnership we developed with Los Angeles World Authority, which runs the airport. In credit for prior learning, in the last 4.5 months, we've had a 192 increase in number of units awarded, and that's been a big focus on our part. And Mr. Medrano, he's gone. In terms of apprenticeships, in the past year, West had 29 apprenticeship sections with over 160 apprentices. We have now have an industry dental license apprenticeship. We also have a new partnership with the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory for a quality assurance apprenticeship program. So we're growing in apprenticeships as well. Thank you.
Wait, don't go yet. President Valley, may I say
Trustee
something? President Limbaugh, I just want to say congratulations. You did such an awesome job with the climate conference last week. Honestly,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
and you got up here very humbly, but I think what everybody needs to understand is this is a priority of our new state chancellor to deal with climate change and climate issues. And this was a chancellor's office statewide convening, and you knocked the socks off of the Board of Governors and the state chancellor, and you really did a phenomenal, phenomenal job. And I just want to commend you. Thank you. Again, you're very humble, but you went over and above and beyond. And I mean, the state is watching you and watching West LA College, and everybody was very impressed. So thank you so much.
Well, that's very, very kind. I will say, I appreciate that, but I will say that we were able to do that because of the commitment of our faculty and the extra hard work of all the folks in trades, in the housekeeping section, in our facilities. West has a wonderful atmosphere of collaboration, and so I'm glad that you saw that. I appreciate your
Really
kind
great.
words.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Limbaugh. Next.
Good afternoon, Chancellor, President Vela, and trustees. First, want to go out of my way to thank you for coming to our 75th anniversary at Pierce College. We're still celebrating. It's a great accomplishment to get to this point in our career and to make sure the college gets all the recognition it needs. But your motivational speeches were really well received by the families and the communities. We thank you for that. In terms of enrollment, Pierce College is heavily focused on session B, obviously, and the fall semester. We have strong enrollment. I would say that we have to continue to work on enrollment. It's one of the challenges we always have. We are making sure that we have a lot of welcome center days available. So every Saturday, we're having the Super Saturday sessions. And during those sessions, we're making sure that we hear the students, understand what their needs are, and try to assess that carefully so we can put in the extra support we need where it's required. Pierce is very busy with a lot of activities going on at this time. We have, at this particular time, the Fun Under the Sun group that's been with us for decades. They're really family oriented. They bring a lot of their kids and family members in. It's really engaging. Plus our summer camps with soccer from Brit West, our tennis camps, our basketball camps, really great for athletics. It's an area we're trying to accentuate. Pierce College overall is going through a kind of a renaissance in our construction program as well, even beyond what you're doing with LA Bond, with the architects coming out through Ed Van Ginkel in the group. We're also pushing for Pierce College to reprioritize based on what we learned in the pandemic, which is we got to behave a little differently and structure our organization differently. So we're putting more emphasis in our athletics area, on our farm areas. We have 200 acres of the farm. We got to make sure we have strong programs out there, but also bringing in the community again, because Pierce is such a big part of that community in that area in Woodland Hills that we need to engage in multiple ways to bring in future students, not just from high schools, which is a big emphasis for us, but also make sure we bring in veterans, challenged individuals in the community, but then the greater community at large. We have a lot more commuters in the Valley than we had before, and both our presidents in the Valley are focusing on the same things as well. So I want to thank you for that and your support. And then lastly, I'd like to make recognition for what was mentioned earlier by one of the participants, which was we had 14 of the 21 individuals were identified for outstanding achievement in the classified ranks. They were from Pierce College and mostly plant facilities. So we really appreciate all the classified that are doing all the hard work at our campus and creating deliveries and offerings with their faculty and staff and our administrators. But again, we need to have a shout out to them because they really do an exemplary job. And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, Dr. Culpepper.
After that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner in Latin, I almost want to sing again, but I don't think I can top. Thank you, President Vela and Chancellor, other honorable members of the board. Southwest College is taking advantage of the relationship that we have with the LAWA. I had mentioned this earlier, but now we are starting to plant the foundation for apprenticeships and internships for the subcontractors that are involved in the $32 billion projects that are happening at the airport. We are starting to get phone calls from various subcontractors to help our students continue to come out of poverty into thriving wages. And so we're focused on that, and we'll bring you some more data on that as it unfolds. I do want to take this opportunity to recognize also the 7-year accreditation that the college has received, all the colleges have received. Certainly, it is something to acknowledge. So I want to just acknowledge our faculty, the administration, the classified staff, and certainly our community for the work that they put in to make sure that Southwest College is recognized in that way. As a matter of fact, the commendation that Southwest College received included several times in it the community engagement, returning the community back to the college, and how we are focused on serving our students in our communities. And so Southwest College is very much moving forward with making sure our programs are out there. We certainly have reintroduced the college to its community. The college has reengaged us. And now if you look at our stats, you can see that in the summer session, this is now the 4th consecutive academic session where we have increased and recovered our enrollment from the previous academic year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Culpepper. Next is our new member of our team of presidents. We have Dr. Alfred McQuarters. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, President Villa, Chancellor, and the board. Second day here as president of Trade Tech. Have 2 updates. One, last month, 4 students and 3 faculty members of our coordinated arts pathway traveled to Atlanta for the National Leadership and Skills Conference. Out of 11 post-secondary schools, Trade Tech received a bronze medal in restaurant service. And out of 20 post-secondary schools, Trade Tech was proud to take home the gold medal in baking and pastry arts. The second update is the State Chancellor Office recently selected Trade Tech as one of 14 qualifying colleges to receive a collective $9 million annually, spanning a 5-year period as part of its homeless and housing insecurity program. The program addresses California homelessness and housing insecure student populations to support rapid rehousing and homeless prevention programs. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, President McQuarters. All right, next, Dr. Gribbins.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just 2 quick updates to provide. Like, I think all 9 colleges, this summer is going to be marked with a ton of hiring. We're hiring at Valley over 30 faculty plus 30 classified positions. So everyone's busy at work with that. It's a great opportunity to really make some big impacts to the college, but obviously requiring a flurry of work. And let me just take a moment to thank Human Resources, Tayana, the Personnel Commission, Ron, all the leadership that they provide, and everyone working in both of the units. It's certainly going to be really needed this summer. The second update I wanted to provide is about enrollment management. Obviously, last year, Valley College, as well as all 9 colleges, had an amazing year with enrollment management on all fronts. We saw a really nice recovery for Valley. It was 14% in FTS. So we're thinking about next year, spending a lot of time making plans on how we're going to build on that success and take it to another level. We're not just looking to repeat all the same activity that we did last year. Obviously, the activity that was successful, we will continue, but we're looking for ways that we can make some significant improvements there. And I'm sure we'll have more to talk about that over the next months. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gribbons. Dr. Ornelas?
Good afternoon, President Vela, members of the board, Chancellor Rodriguez. Just a couple of things I want to share with you. Last week, we hosted our annual classified appreciation event. In particular, we celebrated 2 employees that were with us for 35 years. And we recognized our groundskeeper, Ruth Ward, with our Classified of the Year award. Like my colleagues, we're in full swing of enrollment events. We're gearing up for the fall. We're back with our Early Eagles enrollment events where students are invited to do one-stop enrollment every Wednesday at the college. And then finally, I want to invite you all to this Friday's check presentation where Congressman Garden will be awarding Mission College check presentation from Congressman Cardenas for $2 million to do short-term allied health programs. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Great, fantastic. Anyone else from our college presidents? Okay, seeing none. Do we have any speakers on matters on the agenda? Okay.
Ernesto Medrano.
Oh, yeah, he already
He's
spoke with
6.
us. Yeah, thank you. He was here.
Okay.
Yeah, we took him up on our trades reps. I mean, our bargaining unit reps. Okay, all right, so that's it on that. Okay. Next, we are going to reports from the board. All right, so we're going to report from the standing and special committees. Trustee Hoffman, please summarize the proceedings of the Budget and Finance Committee that you chaired on June 21st.
Thank you. We got a presentation on the district budget allocation model. Ms. Gordon and Ms. Latier presented the review process and the recommendations for the 2023-2024 district budget allocation model. The LACCD budget allocation model is designed to distribute general fund unrestricted resources, which support the basic operations and mission of the district. We approved the allocation model, which is on the agenda for us to approve today, I believe, as a full board. We had a discussion about enrollment, and we got an enrollment update. And then we also had Mr. Blanchard and his team present the internal audit quarterly report for 2022-2023. There were some questions about the audit and some findings, and so he will bring them back in a couple of months. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Hoffman. Sure, absolutely.
What were some of the findings?
He audited Ms. Gordon, if you can help me remember. It wasn't a general audit of the college, it was an audit of go ahead, Chancellor.
Can I step in? Yes,
Yes,
so thank
please do.
you, Trustee Hoffman, Dr. Wellnut. Report was, this was the usual and customary audits of the facilities division at each of the sites.
That's right.
And what they brought up in their audit form were areas of concern. And if I were to summarize the areas of concern, they were considerable. They were mostly around internal controls. So at the meeting itself, I made a commitment to the committee that we would respond with cures for each of these areas within 6 months, and then I would provide a midterm report in about 3. So they were, but mostly internal controls.
Kind of a big deal. So, are there any campuses with them? I mean, that's a big deal. So I appreciate Trustee Hoffman you mentioning that. But we as an entire board going to get that?
Yeah, I mean, we could bring it back. So there were some, I mean, every campus had some kind of a finding, and some of the findings were somebody was driving a facilities cart that may not have had clearance or permission to drive the cart. There were other findings like that, like there wasn't anything too, I mean, that's major, but there wasn't anything too terribly major. It was just findings about not following maybe the exact protocol or not knowing where to look to find the exact paperwork or approval process that needed to go through. So we asked, it was going to come back to us in more than 6 months. So we asked for it to come back in 6 months.
That going to go to FEMPOC also? The reason I'm asking is because you have two types of building, let's say, stuff, right? DSA, non-DSA, bond, non-bond. I just, in terms of understanding internal controls, that's the first time I heard about it. Is there any particular college? Is it material, non-material? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Let's have Ms. Gordon. Ms. Gordon can address it best.
I was just going to say, Trustee Bullner, we can have that whole report sent to the entire board for review, because it was several colleges, small items at some and larger items at others. And he's going to come back with the corrective action plans, the results of corrective action plans in approximately 2 months, or it could take longer for some. But that is the normal process that we do. But the whole report can be distributed to all trustees to look at with the detail. And it will give you answers to all those questions you have about the individual colleges and findings.
Example of my colleges, it's small or large. Large. I mean, what large is occurring?
The reports were all attached, I believe, weren't in the board agenda, so we can go back. But Ms. Gordon, if you want to answer, go ahead.
No, well, I can't remember every item. I can't give you an example. I don't know if Mr. Blanchard is in the meeting today either. Can you tell me that, Loopy?
I just remember the example of the not having the proper paperwork to drive the cart in the facilities department. And then there were other kind of more minor issues that were just about protocol, but I believe the report is attached in board docs.
He's in the meeting, so we can go to Zoom. He could respond to these questions. So he's on the screen now.
Cancer, do you mean?
Okay,
I
so,
don't mean to pull it out of
well,
words.
no, you deserve to ask the question. The issue that I have is that it's not, the actual audit is not agendized. It was just a report. So I'm looking at general counsel. What we can do is provide you with a full report on those findings, as well as bringing it back to the board as a presentation whenever Ms. Gordon or CFE would like to. And I think, or, as soon as we can. Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gordon. I appreciate it, but absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and Trustee Vettis, can you also summarize the proceedings of the Facilities Master Planning and Oversight Committee that you chaired on June 21st?
Yes, thank you. The committee heard several items that day. First was a referral by this board from last month's meeting regarding the Los Angeles Mission College lease proposal for the Pacoima Entrepreneur Center. The committee got a chance to review the specific types and costs of the tenant improvements proposed. Questions were asked about Field Act and the assessment for both the Sunland Tahunga site and Pacoima site, and a number of factors were raised. The chancellor, I think, indicated there had been previous studies that indicated these two areas were target areas for satellites for Mission College. President Ornelas mentioned the density of persons in Pacoima was substantially higher than the density of persons per square mile in Sunland. And so the impact of being able to work with a community in a neighborhood was very significant. There's a disadvantaged community conversation that also occurred there. Comments were made about having Mission as much as possible keep a presence in Sunland and deal with the students that had been started there and requested continuing classes mostly in ESL space. But there was some additional request of information that discussed parking availability and whether the site had sufficient parking available. Trustee Buona, I think, also had concerns that were sent to all board members and were dealt with in a memo by General Counsel, as well as a follow-up memo by the Chancellor that discussed, amongst other things, CEQA. The item is being returned back to the full board after a very substantial consideration of items and a number of concerned comments by Trustee Buona and a number of supportive comments by other committee members. So that returns back, and we're happy to, as the item comes up for us to review, happy to divulge deeper into the committee's conversation about the proposed lease. Next, the committee got a chance to review an update on student housing. I believe the Chancellor was able to provide information a few weeks back regarding the presentation, and I believe it was also maybe the inclusion of the presentation, but I will note for the record that the student housing presentation included a timeline that the president here would want me to make sure we shared and emphasized of upcoming milestones for student housing and LACCD, including essentially the working timeline. It includes an RFQ, RFI posting in September, a due submission date for interested parties in October, a selection process in November/December, and then a request for proposals that will come from that particular group to be posted in January of 2024, submissions to be due February of 2024, and a revision and selection process expected in March of 2024. So that is something that's available. All committee members remarked positively on the presentation, and it is available for all members of the board to see. We also had a conversation about a land bank. It was the second time this item was agendized, and the committee made a recommendation to have staff prepare a resolution for the full board to consider to develop a land bank component to LACCD. And more information available for that and the benefits and reasons why as this resolution gets prepared for the full board to consider. And the last item, and I believe we're going to have a little bit more of a presentation on this as well, is an update on the program management for the bonds recompete. The committee heard a presentation, and essentially our facilities division expects to issue the PMO recompete in September, and with a review process and ultimately a target award date of March of next year. They're providing themselves sufficient time in case there are any unexpected issues that arise, so that way this extension that we all approved as a board will be able to be managed timely and appropriately there. So that's the committee report, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for your thorough report. Hearing none, let's go ahead with Trustee Eno. Can you summarize the proceedings of the Legislative and Public Affairs Committee that you chaired on June 21st?
Yes, our team has been very busy going through the legislative process this year. It's been challenging because fiscally, we know at the federal level and the state level, it's kind of everything's been compromised, and also politically to move things along for public education. But we've been working really hard, or the team has, and I've been listening and learning along the way. So AB 1151, the facilities bill, is waiting signature, so that's great. We also have 1096, the language bill, and the ethnic studies bill. They're waiting a hearing right now, but we have a lot of support for the in-language bill, and we hope to have 50 letters of support. Yeah, any day now. I think we're really close to hitting that, and it's moving along, and we've gotten a lot of support from a lot of local communities, colleges, and other spaces. So thank you, everyone. That's helped us along with that. The trailer bill for the budget has been approved, and I think we're still waiting the state budget, but everything looks pretty solid and stable. Oh, it is signed. Okay, so it's signed now. Fortunately, the state is predicting a deficit, but the community college funding is stable. And on top of that, LACCD has been awarded two things specifically within the state budget. One is the ELAC, the incubator business program for 2.5 million. So congratulations to ELAC for that. Yes. As well as we champion things not only for the district, but for the state. And so we also were able to really help support and facilitate a 30 million 3-year ongoing, three-year fund for the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah, and then on top of that, I think initially there was a funding limit, but we challenged that because we do represent almost 10% of the entire state of community college. So we have been given we've been awarded $900,000 per year. So that's a huge win too. And thank you to President Vela, because I know you've been championing a lot of that too. So I think that's everything. We'll keep you posted. Things seem to be changing on a daily, but all of your support and Senate, and I know you all are working really hard in your spaces and places too. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Eno. Trustee Henderson, please summarize the proceedings of the Institutional Effectiveness and Student Success Committee that you chaired on June 21st.
Thank you, President Vela. The Committee on Institutional Effectiveness and Student Success met on Wednesday, June 21st at 1 p.m. with all committee members present. The committee heard an updated report from President Mary Gallagher and her team from LACCD College regarding the Educational and Strategic Master Plan, and the committee voted to approve, and the plan is on today's agenda. The update was specific to in-language course offerings and support for second language learners and community engagement as it relates to overcoming barriers, language barriers. LA Pierce College President R. Aguiar and her team provided an update on the college's agricultural sciences program, which focused on a program review, enrollment, and course trends, and highlighted the college's future plans for an interdisciplinary agricultural biotechnology certificate of achievement, and all committee members received eggs. Very, very fresh eggs from the farm, and they are delicious. Mr. Maury Pearl provided a very thorough enrollment update comparing summer 22 and 23 credit enrollments. He shared the annual SCIF metrics report for 22-23 as of June 12th and concluded with a presentation of district-wide enrollment trends for fall 2019 through fall 2022. From this report, committee members asked the college presidents to be prepared to return to IESS to provide updates on outreach and marketing efforts, specifically addressing how they are addressing intersectionality. The next IES meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 16th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Vice President Henderson. Next, if you could also summarize the proceedings of the Ad Hoc Committee on Gender Diversity and Equity on June 27th.
Yes, sir. The Gender Equity and Diversity Ad Hoc Committee met on Tuesday, June 27th, virtually. This is a closed committee, but we will include stakeholders as necessary for information gathering and discussions. This was the second committee meeting, but due to changes in district personnel, this was the first meeting for much of the group. In the meeting, we reviewed the agenda items from the September 22nd meeting to review and determine priorities. Our primary focus is to ensure that our work uplifts the district's mission and vision. And our initial priorities are a gender pay study, an investigation into our hiring practices, and a review of district policy as they specifically address diversity, systemic and institutional isms, and the potential for discrimination in our practices and procedures. So ends my reports.
Thank you so much, Vice President Henderson. Student Trustee Cordova, would you like to summarize the proceedings of the Student Affairs Committee that you chaired on June 9th?
Yes. So as you know, the ASO members and myself were newly elected last month. So this meeting was actually more of an introductory meeting, and we didn't have any action items. However, we have our official meeting July 14th, and you can expect to hear those items at the next board meeting. However, we did have the sheriff department come to our meeting and we discussed the proposed deployment changes with our sheriff security personnel. And I did have an additional meeting with them, and I can say that the students and myself feel comfortable with the changes that the sheriff departments are making. So thank you guys for that dedication. And yes, I will have more action items at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Right, next, may I have a motion and a second on item E2, board travel authorization and ratification?
So moved.
Moved by Henderson. I'll second. Roll call.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buona, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next is item F1, which is the support. Actually, I'm sorry, I went a little bit ahead. I apologize. Oh yeah. Okay, so next we have support. Item F1, which is support for resolution renaming the Vincent Price Art Museum Art Gallery Room at East LA College to the Gloria Molina Gallery. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss it a little bit for the trustees that want to weigh in, and then also if anyone from ELAC wants to talk a little bit about it. So may I have a motion and a second for item F1?
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Henderson.
Second.
Seconded by Eno. All right, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and do some discussion on this. Is anyone want to talk about it, weigh in? Anyone? Sure, okay.
I
Vice
just want to
President Henderson.
say that this is a wonderful tribute to Supervisor Molina. She was in fact a trailblazer for Latinas and Latino politicians, and knowing that she had such a wonderful quilt collection that had been shown, highlighted at the gallery for a while. I think this is a wonderful tribute to her. So I'm glad that we're doing it.
Thank you, Vice President Henderson. Anyone else?
Trustee Vella, I'll make a comment.
Sure, absolutely.
And I know I've made my comments about the supervisor in past meetings, but I did, because there was a public comment that had referred to the naming of the museum. I just wanted to be clear that this is the gallery, and so the museum still recognizes and acknowledges Vincent Price and his contribution. But I think from the standpoint of the supervisor, there was a great relationship she had, long-term and standing relationship as an elected official, and even in retirement, that I think was really substantial and important. And her last few years marked work at the California Community Foundation, and a number of initiatives and projects were embraced by the foundation, including our College Promise program and our student housing program. So I just wanted to acknowledge that work, and certainly her family that carries forward her legacy. But this is a small token in recognition of her omnipresence for many decades on the east side, and particularly at East LA College. So thank you, and fully supportive of the item.
Thank you, Trustee Vettis. Appreciate that clarification. Yes, as a matter of fact, the resolution calls for the naming of the one of the art gallery rooms within the Vincent Price Museum, and the museum will continue to be named the Vincent Price Museum. So does anyone from East LA College want to come up and say a little bit? Okay, we got some people. Come on up. We're all family here. Come on up.
Yes, President Vella, my name Michael Pascual from
Yes,
ELAC.
hi, Mike.
So if you're familiar with the Vincent Price Museum, the first lobby where the double doors are, there's a room there in the very front. That's the main gallery. It's room 104. So that's the room that's going to be renamed after Gloria Molina.
Thank you so much.
And just one thing to know, she was a student in our campus for a couple of years, took some classes at ELAC. So again, this is just a great way to honor her. So again, and thank you, Trustee Vettis, for clarifying it's just the room, not the gallery, not the whole museum. So just for that. Thank
And
you.
do you want to talk a little bit about the process and how it worked over at the college?
Yes, I would. We have two shared governance committees. The first committee that went through for approval for the recommendation of the naming was the Facilities Planning Subcommittee, which I'm co-chair of. So that was the first time that we brought it to the item, and it was unanimously approved with the naming. And then it went to our shared governance, the ESGC, with all of the committees, and it was also approved unanimously at both committees.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear there was that input. Anyone else? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Joe.
My colleagues,
Yeah.
East LA College. Yeah, at the Shared Governance Council, I also spoke in favor, obviously, of this recognition. I can recall back when I was a student and Gloria Molina was there for us when we were struggling to keep the open access at East LA College and stop tuition. It was only when we're facing a governor who was using line item veto that it broke the back of what had been a pretty powerful movement. And she was our advocate, as she was an advocate for folks throughout the community served by East LA College. It really is the case that the quilts, I learned so much about it, since her passing too, from her family, and her former staff. The the quilts really do represent yet again how she had really connected with adult learners. Really, that's really what that was about, and really inspire them to uh, to to craft beautiful artwork. And so it is very fitting that this recognition is there. I do agree. It's a small token, but it's a very meaningful one. And so I appreciate that it's gone through this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff, for your support, unwavering support. Anyone else of the Board of Trustees want to say anything? I do want to say I did visit the Plaza Cultura y Artes this weekend with my family, and they do have an exhibit which is really fantastic. It piggybacks on the Chicanos movement of the 1960s. And then it also talks about all of the upcoming events, and one of them is on July 15th, I believe, which will dedicate, it's a big celebration of her life. I do recommend that people do look online for that. It's no secret that, I've worked for the supervisor for a very long time. And what I can tell you is that, there is a legacy that is important to acknowledge of a Chicana, a feminista, a woman who, really stood up. And most of my recollection was about women's rights. That was primarily one of the most really telling aspects of a leader like that. And in any case, thank you all, and thanks to my colleagues on the board for supporting East LA College and their decision. And East LA College, please send our thanks back to all the committees as well. I do know that there will be something right in August with the family, right? Oh, September. I'm sorry. Okay, over at the Vincent Price Museum to honor this and so on and so forth. All right. Thank you all so much. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead. Now that we have a motion and a second, let's do roll call.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Wilna? Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations to the Molina family. Next, we're going to do the most important piece of this, which is the report from our chancellor. So I'll turn it over to Chancellor Rodriguez. Go ahead, Chancellor.
Thank you, Board President Vela. We want to start this, everyone. A couple of things to share with you today. First and foremost, I always like to commend your reading. If I could go to the next slide on what I discussed today. To the Chancellor's monthly report, that quite a bit of effort is put into this report. And again, it answers the question. If you want to know what's going on in LACCD through our 9 jewels, our 9 colleges, this report on a monthly basis put together by Juliet Hidalgo, the PIO staff, the college presidents, really does a nice job in words and in pictorial and in links as a way. We used to print this out, but now it's all available online. So I commend your reading, and clearly it talks about several things that I'll be discussing today. Also want to say a little bit more about the accreditation, reflect on the SCOTUS decision last week on affirmative action, a brief update on enrollments for the summer. They continue to do very well. And I'll conclude my report with Dr. Smith, who will say a little bit more about the PMO recompete that was shared at FEMPOC a couple of weeks ago. So moving forward, you can see these nice photos from the month of July. Just really, it's a time of celebration. It's a time of joy. It's a time of the significant stride of students moving forward, completing one goal and then on their way to the other. And many of our students, as you know, go on to the universities, many go on to the workplace, but all achieving their educational goals. Again, a wonderful way, a representation of what is a beautiful Los Angeles. And this is what student success looks like. And let the glow of our commencements that occurred earlier in June continue to carry us forward as we move into the fall. Moving next, it was mentioned earlier by Dr. Culpepper, but this can't go without a little bit more. This is 7 years. This is the longest term allowable. Yeah, this is 7 years. Hats off, hat tip, cheers to the college presidents, to our district-wide ALO, Dr. Alba Lopez, to the campus ALOs, to our faculty, staff, to our professional members of our team, all of us who really were involved with this. Our board was also involved. President Vela was interviewed on Standard 4 and whatnot, and clearly all the collective work put forth by many individuals, about a year and a half, 2-year effort, really did pay dividends. This is our assurance to the public that we are meeting the standards. And in many cases, commendations were received by the colleges individually for exceptional work in a variety of areas in planning and community engagement, and a district-wide accommodation in our work related to racial equity and social justice. So I hope that we will stand proud with this, not rest on this laurel, but indeed continue to affirm the excellent work that's going on. Again, special thanks to our faculty colleagues who ensure that the excellence occurs every day in the classroom, in counseling, in our libraries, and our professional classified staff who provide support to our students so they can indeed succeed. So congratulations. This is a real big accolade and a job well done to our presidents and others. So let's move on now. Let me say a little bit about the SCOTUS. I'd like to read something, if you don't mind. I usually go off the cuff. But I'm going to read something that I think, as a product of affirmative action, this stirred me. And some of you know that I was with the University of California as middle management when the SP1, SP2 decision occurred. That was the University of California Regents dismantling affirmative action over 2 days in front of my eyes and in front of other witnesses. Dismantled the tool that so many of us benefited from directly. And it was ironic that I was at Harvard University giving a lecture on equity when this decision came down. So I was moved by this, and with the board's president's support, we put out this statement together that really, I think, spells and tells of what this is all about. So last week's the Supreme Court issued a ruling to restrict affirmative action as part of the holistic process for university admissions, a practice that has been in place for California since the UC Regents actions took place in the mid-90s, and was further codified in the law through Proposition 209 in 1996. The Supreme Court's ruling against affirmative action is a step in the wrong direction and moves us further away from true equality. This will no doubt present challenges to efforts to racially diversify our nation's colleges and universities, not community colleges, but our four-year institutions. The evidence is clear. There is tremendous educational value derived from diverse student bodies, both to the individual and to the institution. Affirmative action was put in place to address and remedy racial inequalities caused by past and current racial discrimination and structural, systemic, and institutional racism in education. In her dissent, Justice Sotomayor, I think, said it very clearly, and I quote, "Ignoring race will not equalize a society that is racially unequal. What was true in the 1860s and again in 1954 is true today. Equality requires acknowledgement of inequality, unquote. Removing this tool and placing educational barriers translate to students and communities being left behind. So let's let this SCOTUS decision, as disappointing, as discouraging, and as expected as it was in some cases, this should serve, and I put in my writing, a brutal wake-up call, an opportunity to strengthen our resolve in higher education to improve and eradicate racial and social justice inequalities through this tool that we have in front of us called education. The extension of access and opportunity for a college education must, for all, remain a national priority. Diversity is essential to the success of our colleges and to the success of our universities, to this society that we all live in, and to our economy. I wanted to thank Board President Vela in his joint statement that you see up there. He said very clearly that diversity, equity, and inclusion are core values at our institution. And he's speaking on behalf of the board. And every person deserves an opportunity for a high quality, accessible, and affordable education. This decision, he goes on, reminds us of the critical role that community colleges play and the immense benefits of an open access admissions policy that builds a diverse student body. Every person who applies to one of our colleges is enrolled and is accepted, 100%. No one is left behind. So we stand in solidarity with students who will be affected by this decision, and we will do all we can to successfully remove barriers to higher education. So I share this because, yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know that I speak on behalf of our constituents, our communities, our faculty, our staff, our board, that we will use this as an opportunity to, again, strengthen and clarify our resolve around access to higher education. While it doesn't impact us at the two-year level, it will impact the students moving forth. About 50% of our students who apply to us say they want a university transfer education. So it will impact them. In California, we have been subject to this for almost 30 years. And the truth is, the University of California has never recovered from those decisions that were made back when. So this is high stakes, high consequence. I look over at Alexi, my concern for her future and whatnot to be selected and appointed in the highest and most elite institutions. So I hope that the Supreme Court takes an equal vigor around legacy admissions and these other, places like that. They really talk about imbalance and whatnot. I'll stop with my editorial there because I could go on. And okay, wasn't that bad? On this last part, I was going to go off, but I think I'll stop. So anyway, enough on that. Thank you for the support, members of the board, college presidents, colleagues from the Senate, and our unions who I know believe in true equality. We're not there yet, and we need tools. Moving on to the next matter. Well, wonderful news on enrollment. You can see that we continue to soar this summer with summer enrollments in the double digits in all categories. Next slide, please. We're still in restoration mode, so we're not yet recovered from pre-pandemic, but we're well on our way. I would note that the summer modalities continue to be principally online. There's a better balance of that for the fall schedules as they're printed now, and will be delivered. But I wanted to give you a sense that the fill rates and the modality rates are still principally online or hybrid. Okay, so I'm going to end there with my report and then ask Dr. Smith to take the mic here. And he's going to give us the news that was shared at FEMPOC today about a very important process. The PMO is the firm that we work with to organize, to manage, and to lead our construction, our bond program. So I'd like to have Dr. Smith, and there was a presentation that he provided that we wanted to make sure that all board members were aware of. So Dr. Smith, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chancellor, Board President, and Honorable Trustees. I'll be real brief. This presentation has one slide. So I wanted to share with you our plan moving forward with the Program Manager's Office recompete. Typically, it's a 5-year contract, 3 years, 1 + 1, or something similar. We had something unique happen in the last year where we wanted to offset MATOC as well as the recompete. So we issued a new contract to Jacobs for a 2-year commitment. We want to make sure that we do what we said we are going to do, and we're not going to ask for an extension on that. So it behooves us to make sure that we're putting plans in place to start this recompete. Those efforts will start off with an RFP that we'll issue. September 11th is the date we're shooting for, with submissions due just before Thanksgiving in November, with a board award recommendation of March of next year. Although our current contract with Jacobs doesn't expire until next September, it gives us an opportunity to manage through the process in case there is a protest or any challenges, any issues that can slow down the process. So we think that we also need a transition opportunity and plan, because we don't plan on having any impact on any of the current project work that we're working on. So this is an approach for us to minimize that impact, not to cease or stop any work, and to continue on, as we build and develop working and learning spaces. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
So any questions on Dr. Smith's presentation or anything that I shared today? And I thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chancellor, for your report. Appreciate that. Now we're going to go ahead and review our consent calendar for items I1 through T6. These items include consent calendars for HR, Personnel Commission, Academic Affairs, Student Services, Budget and Finance, Business and Facilities. Please note that the student, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the combined consent calendar? Yeah, Trustee Hernandez.
I'd like to pull an item.
Yes.
Q7?
T7?
Q7.
Okay, Q7. You want it for discussion or separate vote?
Or separate vote.
Separate vote, okay. Anyone
But-
else?
President Villa,
We're
I
gonna
have,
pull it separate. Yeah, we're gonna pull it. Yeah, go ahead.
I have 3 items. So 2 for questions, which are Q2 and Q6, and then 1 for actually for questions as well. But actually, no, let's pull the item. It's P13.
Okay. Any other ones? Okay. Hearing none, let's go ahead and have a motion and a second to approve our consent calendar. Oh, sorry, Vice President Eno, did you have? You, okay.
Nope.
Oh, yes, Trustee Hoppe.
I don't necessarily want to pull any of these items off, but I do want to be able to make comment under K with the new CCAP agreement. So when we get
Okay.
to that, if that's okay.
Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, yeah, then you went, okay. All right. What is that? Okay. And then you guys didn't have one after all? No? Okay. All right, so hearing all of the items that were pulled, let's go ahead and approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
seconded by Henderson. Okay, roll call?
Student trustee
do we wanna-
Cordova advisory vote?
Discussion.
These are the non.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Thank you. Trustee Bona?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go alphabetically now. Let's
Can
go-
can we have comment on what we just approved? I just wanna-
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to make a comment on items K1 through 7 with some of our new CCAP agreements and MOUs. I'm really excited that we're expanding to more schools. Dual enrollment is another top priority of the state chancellor. She would like to see every single 9th grader enrolled in at least one dual enrollment class. So by the time they actually finish, even if they're just exposed to 12 units the whole time that they are in high school, that would be a win. Since Chris Holden's bill passed in 2015, believe it or not, statewide, I think it's only 14% of our students are enrolled in dual enrollment classes. So it would be, yeah, it's extremely low and really shockingly disappointing. So I'm really excited that LACCD is taking the lead. I was at a conference which was dual enrollment through baccalaureate degree at Long Beach City College. Actually, I was a presenter with a member of the Board of Governors and a trustee from Long Beach, which was really great. And when I said we had over 15,000 students that are dual enrolled, everybody was very impressed. So thank you so much, Dr. Alba Lopez and everybody for all your hard work around dual enrollment. Just want to say congratulations and thank you.
Yeah, I definitely want to support that statement from Trustee Hoffman. I mean, I think, even hearing today that they finally got some MOU partnership with Montebello Unified, which we had been trying for years. So, I mean, that's just a good sign. So thank you guys all for these. And definitely the CCAP agreements are very important. If you could thank everyone for that. All right. Thank you so much, Trustee Hoffman. So I'm going to start with P13 since it's alphabetical. Let's go ahead and bring that item up for separate discussion and vote.
Yeah, trustee, and I just want, I raised the item because this is, I believe the second time it's come forward and I did, I think we pulled it prior for more information. I'm not sure if I actually got more information, and I only say this because this was a group that had operated under the build program for a number of years, and now is coming back for workforce training activities. So I think I'm just more sort of concerned in a sense that when it was previously pulled, we just didn't get any more information, and now it's back, and I don't know if it's a revised. I didn't get a chance to sort of go back and dig out the prior item, but I wanted to understand better here. And then, like I said, we revamped in the building program how we were doing internships, and most of the criticism with PV Jobs is that they only focused on a narrow space for a much larger. I know this is just West LA College. This is one college as opposed to all 9. The responsibility in the build program was for the inclusion of interns for all 9. But I just want to get a better sense as to what do we have going on here, and are we sort of correcting some of the concerns that existed in the past, and what's the difference between this year at 100,000 and the very substantial contracts we had in the build program.
Thank you. Let me ask Dr. Limbaugh to address the questions.
Thank you for the question, Trustee Vela. If you will please allow me to bring on Dean Tiffany Miller. She is the one who has negotiated this, and I think she would be better able, Trustee Veras, to answer your specific questions if that's okay with the board. Lupe, Tiffany Miller should be out there in the ether somewhere. Okay. How about if I get back with you? I can't give you the specific questions. I don't want to wing something and give you information that would be incorrect. And I apologize. I wasn't aware that you'd asked for the, she's here now?
I heard she's on now.
That was me shuffling along, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Tiffany, take it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So I raised, I believe this is the second time the item has come to us. And the first time I had asked questions, PV Jobs was a partner in the build program that sought to do intern job training and recruitment issues. And I know the bond program has changed substantially, but they'd been with us for many, many years. And I was trying to understand the difference between what they did for the bond program and what West LA is proposing to do right now. It's a familiar organization with some desires on our part to make some changes of the way the business was done. But I just really want to understand what you all are trying to do and how does this fit now versus the changes we decided to make in the bond program.
Got it. So as far as I understand it, because I believe this concern came up, as you mentioned, for a previous contract. So we had investigated that matter. And so PV Jobs hasn't been part of the build program for many years. So there's no conflict of interest in terms of them being involved in two ways with LACCD. And the way we partner with them now is we recruit diverse population students that are interested in construction training. These are 100% of clients referred by WorkSource centers. So they all have barriers to employment. And so we recruit them and we train them in various construction skills. And then we have a partnership with a union that helps place them in union jobs.
Okay, I guess maybe I wasn't deeply aware of West LA's sort of space in the construction trades education area. Is it something you can update us on?
Sure. This is for our not for credit program. So it's not part of our credit or, the credit side of the house. It's the not for credit side of the house. So it's the side of the house that just provides for a fee training. And so this is part of our extension program where students can pay a fee to get a training. And this particular program is on the iTrain, which is the public facing LA County website, where training providers can list programs and then WorkSource centers can refer WIOA clients, and then WIOA funds pay for the training.
And typically, what type of employers are you working with?
We work with a variety of employers. And so really PB Jobs assists, they're established in the space. So many of the employers come from them, but private contractors, but we're working with a couple of different unions. So that's a big referral pipeline for us.
Okay, and will this have a relationship with the contractors to work in our bond program, or is this viewed as something separate?
No, this is completely separate. They will not be working on any LACCD project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Are you okay, Trustee Bettis, with moving forward and taking a vote on this?
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah, like I said, there's lots of things here that I wasn't aware that West was doing, and certainly if it's connected to the WIOA programs and the WorkSource Center, I think it works. Of course, we have our own internal recruitment process in the bond program, and I just wanted to make sure there was integrity for there and what's being proposed here. But there's plenty of construction everywhere in the region, so certainly understand the need to continue to do these services.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion and a second for P13?
So moved.
Moved by Eno, seconded by Henderson. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buona. Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Let's go into Q2. Ms. Hernandez?
This was mine item, I guess. I don't know if Ms. Hernandez had additional
No,
questions.
go ahead, Trustee Bettis, go ahead.
I raised it as Q2 and Q6. Not that I have a problem improving either. I think both of the sort of professional services deal with individuals who are really dynamic and important figures for the issues that were here. But just out of curiosity, for the past several years, and this is maybe a question to the chancellor, we've had anything sort of in this space of whether it's professional services, honorarium, guest speaking fees. But do we have, what is our policy exactly? I guess I'm more asking the question of like, why is one amount and another's another amount? And, in the past, the ones that we've approved also vary tremendously in amounts. Do they go through some kind of, or is it just negotiated per speaker or per service, or what? Is there a guiding sort of space for us in this? And, just wondering what that is exactly.
We do not have a specific policy or range. It is negotiated with the individual at the campus level for the matter. And in this particular occasion, it was from what's called the C funds, which is equity. But there isn't a sense of limits necessarily. We just ensure that there's value, that there is a sense of discretion that's involved, so that it's not out of line with what a speaker, in this case of his caliber, would command. And it's certainly within that range. And but there's not a limit per se for types of speeches or activities that occur in particular ways. It's typically negotiated at the district or campus level.
And Chancellor, and I wonder, because as I know, and I hear Trustee Henderson's ad hoc committee, and we're talking about equity all across the round. And like I said, these two services that are up here are people that I do admire, and I think they're incredible voices. I think I want to seek sort of a fairness quotient, that, you know, whether, like, I don't want to sort of have perhaps another speaker in the future that's negotiated a lesser fee because either the college has been, you know, stronger negotiator, or they just came in a little lower. I kind of want to get a sense as to perhaps maybe there's a need for us to have this conversation about honorariums and these kinds of professional services to make sure that we're fair with everybody, and that there's not a distinct difference between, you know, people's gender, people's race, people's backgrounds, experience levels. And it's hard to say, you know, obviously this is an area that's complicated because the range of dynamism and, you know, and I say this only, not only in this space, but also, for example, in the future, when it comes to graduation, when it comes to, you know, other kinds of unique and dynamic speaking series that the colleges have offered, that I wonder if we may be best served creating some framework and some support systems for people to engage in negotiations, and, you know, including stuff like travel fees and other kinds of components to this. It does feel like, you know, we may not be as consistent as I think would be fair for speakers at large and for the public itself to view what we do and what we approve here as being diligent. So I'll put that, like I said, I don't have a problem with either of these two, but this is probably now, I don't know, somewhere in the range of 12, 13 over the past few years that have come forward to us. And I think each and every single one might actually have a different amount that have come before the board. And so if no other, you know, like I said, I'm fine approving them, but I do think maybe as a question on the surface in the future, this may be a conversation point for us to have.
All right, that's so noted. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Vettis. And I do agree with you. We do need to, leadership will also discuss how they come presented to the agenda. Maybe we need to clump them all together. And then also talk about kind of equity within the amount of money we pay speakers as well, and the fund where it comes from. Thank you. Okay, any other issues on Q2, Q6? Anything else? Okay, let's have a motion to approve Q2 and Q6 at the same time. Is that okay, General Counsel? If I could approve both?
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Hopper.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Eno. Second, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buona. Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez. Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. All right, then finally, it's Q7. Let's pull that up. Trustee Hernandez, do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
I remember one of my first meetings around 6 months ago, there was an agenda item for a professional services agreement with Common Good. Is this the same scope? Is this different? Something different?
It's the same and it's different. Let me explain. Same firm. And in this particular case, the person will be charged to work with the new college presidents. They have two at City College and at Trade. So that's part of the coaching, professional support for new college presidents, the first presidency in both cases. And also to provide support as part of my goals, the board has asked that we look at the evaluation process for presidents. So the person will assist with that piece of work as well. Then also it's just the general strategic planning for the district as we engage now in our next 5 years of our strategic plan for the district, that we're in the last months of the 2018 to 2023. So those are the three principal areas.
And what was the term of the last item that came up in like December or January?
It was, the yearly cost has been about the same. Actually, it might have been a little higher.
Is this overlapping?
No, this begins July 1st of this month.
And the other,
The ones, actually, the other ones end, thank you. One ends in August, actually. There is some overlap. There's a 2-month overlap.
Okay, and is, are we paying one person for this service? Is it the same person?
It's a principally one person, but it's a team of people that are brought in to assist with what the projects are.
Dr.
Her name is Dr. Joy Blake
So she has an overlapping term.
with a different scope.
I thought it was the same scope.
Well, no, because she was helping LA Pierce College and LA Southwest College with the presidents there. And then this is helping with LACCD and LA Trade Tech.
I mean, I feel a little uncomfortable about this if she has an overlapping scope, but it's the same, but she's doing the same thing with 2 different presidents. Can we get like a accounting on how much we've paid this individual? Because it sounds like it's the same person.
Happy to do that.
What's the total we paid this year or last year, or, you know?
I can certainly do that. I sign off on a monthly basis on the work.
I mean, I have one other question. Like, what is she, what's the deliverables on? I mean, because when I look at this and it says developing and implementing a comprehensive enrollment and retention management plan, communications and workforce development strategies, and integrated strategic education priorities, mentoring, coaching. I mean, that's like all the work that this district does. So like, what exactly is she? What exactly are the deliverables for this person?
And this contract does have very stated and specific deliverables. In the case of the colleges where this person will be, these are the kinds of activities that the colleges are engaged in. Coaching is regular weekly or regular meetings with the individuals themselves about the college presidency, et cetera. She's a former superintendent president. So that's that piece there. These 2 individuals are new to the college presidency. So as they engage in their college planning, college activities, each of the colleges has an enrollment plan. Each of the colleges has strategic plans, et cetera. She can assist with the college presidents on that building as well. The deliverable for, in the case of the presidents, you will see one that will be implemented this November, a different evaluation tool. And we've gotten some additional support for that tool as well, but she's going to pick up on that.
And do we have the evaluations for the last work that she's done?
She hasn't been involved with evaluations. There's no.
I'm all for executive coaching, but it just seems strange to have like a constant overlapping contract with one person. I don't know.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Trustee Hoffman.
And I know there are some of us on the board that wanted you to get a coach for a particular president at one time. And so my understanding is this firm was brought in when we had our former president at LA Southwest College. And then we also hired a sort of a very brand new person at Pierce College who came from out of state. And so I think she, meaning Joy, that's her name, right? Was helping to coach him at Pierce College. But when both of those presidents were no longer with the district, my understanding was that the work that we had engaged her to do was not necessarily needed. So I'm kind of with Sarah. I would like to see some kind of work plan or deliverables or a presentation as to what has been accomplished in the last, I mean, she must be with us like 4 years now. Am I correct? Something like that. And you know, Chancellor, every time we approve a college president's contract when they're brand new with us, I ask the same question: why is the person not starting on step 1? And the answer is always, well, they met the, you know, they have the experience and the years, and we've rated them in, and we're starting them at step 3 or step 4. My feeling is if a college president is coming into our district and starting beyond step 1, you know, they should be ready to go without an outside coach necessarily. Now, if she's working on putting together like a strategic, helping with a strategic plan or something that we can actually tangibly see, I would support that. But I don't see what work has actually been accomplished. I've never seen her at a board meeting. We've not heard about, from the college presidents, what the work is, the scope of work that she's doing in the district or for the colleges. We hired Regina Smith to do, to be your fellow for racial and social justice. So I think you bring up a good point, Trustee Hernandez, that maybe we need to get some more information before we approve this contract.
If that is the will of the board, then that is fine. I'm clearly not explaining this well enough because there is value to this service, to the support that has been received. But if the board would like to postpone this and can come back next month with some details and deliverables, happy to do that. Happy to do that. So
Because it overlaps. I mean, she's here till August anyway with her previous contract, correct?
with one college, yes.
Okay, so maybe we can revisit this next month?
If that's the will of the board, no, I have no problem with that.
Okay. Trustee Wella?
Yes, Trustee Hoffman, I strongly agree with you. You're gonna like that part. Strongly disagree with you. And I strongly agree with you because I think what you're getting at is the word effectiveness, is that I'm not sure we've seen effectiveness with some of the tasks that we've given the individual in the last year. And I strongly disagree with you because I think all of our executives, I mean, it occurs in the private sector and all kinds. I think there's nothing wrong with giving support. I think because we want our college presidents to be successful. I just worry and I just want the person to prove success. And if the person hasn't proven success, and then we're giving other tasks, which I completely agree with, by the way, Chan, in terms of assisting with the evaluations, I'm just not sure this particular contract would get us where we're there. And specifically where Trustee Hoffman mentioned the 2 assignments that were given that were not successful. I'll frame it. So that's my major. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wella. Yeah, Trustee.
Just one more comment. Don't we have Dr. Helen Benjamin helping with the evaluation process also in her work with the board? That's what I thought was part of her scope.
No, part of her scope is the board goals and chancellor goals.
Okay.
She'll be here next month.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we do have the mid-year retreat with Helen Benjamin in August. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and just General Counsel, we're not gonna probably vote on this right now, so do I just go ahead and skip it?
You pulled the item.
Okay, all right, so we'll pull it to next month. Okay, thank you. All right, hearing no more on the consent calendar, let's go ahead. Actually, no, we're done because we did take separate votes on the other items and then this one got pulled. All right, let's go ahead and go into U1 through U16. This is only to adopt these items. We're not voting on it yet. Can I have a motion and a second to adopt business items U1 through U16?
So move.
All right, moved by Buelna, seconded by Eno.
It's still
Yeah, we are. We're gonna do it right now. Okay, now board member Eno and Buelna, motion and seconded. Are there any items which require additional information or to be pulled for separate vote? And let's see, Buelna.
I could pull U13 for separate discussion. And
Okay, U13 separate discussion and vote. Yes. Trustee
Don't want
Hoffman?
to pull, I don't want to pull this, but I just want to make comment on U12.
Okay, a comment on U12. Okay. So go ahead.
Oh,
Start
sorry,
with
and U14. I do want to pull for separate vote U14.
Oh, you want to pull U14? So why don't we start with U12 and your comment? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So all I wanted to say, U12 is part of the work that we've been doing on the ad hoc basic needs committee. And so one of our primary objectives on the committee has been to stabilize our pilot housing program and extend the contract to our housing providers for the next 2 years. So we've been working on that, and thank you to the Chancellor and Dr. Albo Lopez on that work. We're really excited to be able to do that. So I just wanted to say that this has been something that my colleagues on our committee, Trustee Eno and Trustee Hoffman have been working on. And so I definitely encourage you, yes.
And I want to thank you for really working hard and working with administration to make sure that this program continues. And I want to also thank Vice Chancellor Nicole Alba Lopez for being there supporting this, and obviously all of my colleagues. So thank you all. All right. So now we're going to go to U13. We're going to go ahead and this will be a yes.
I think there's a caucusing here that occurred at U11. We also want to
Oh.
pull out
You want it for separate vote
separate.
discussion? Well, what about vote?
I'd like
Okay, yeah, we can. I mean, that's what we have to do. Okay, so let's go ahead, since numerically, I want to go ahead back to U11, which is ratify amendment for the general law enforcement and security for LACCD with the sheriff. Go ahead.
Yeah, so from the last board meeting, there was a little bit of discussion on this item because there was a cost difference and an analysis of services that we had used from the sheriffs in their first year of the 5-year contract. So Trustee Cordova and we met with their team on June 20th to kind of get an understanding of what's been happening. So Director McCray kind of gave us an overview with the sheriff's contract and what's been happening since it was just in the first year. And I'm not sure how many of us have been actively participating in the conversation. And then I know there was some questions to the cost changes and also the services, the service changes, right? And then just culturally, when we took on this contract, it was supposed to look a lot different than it had previously in a lot more of a partnership and campus community policing safety rather than potentially other ways. And so we, Trustee Cordova and I just wanted to make sure that we had a strong understanding of what the changes were and the processes and procedures, which we're still working through. But essentially what we were just mainly trying to get our bearings, I think for the most part in the introductory meeting that we had. And we would like to continue some sort of ad hoc or community campus stakeholder meetings on a regular basis because I think too the team with the director, he had only started since January or January, I think. So then he was also getting his bearings on what the services and what was effective, as well as I'm sure all the campus presidents or vice presidents of administrative services, just trying to partner with all the colleges to make sure you were, aware of the situation and the services and what you needed per campus community. So I think moving forward, we want to continue to meet. There will be a better timeline and a process subcommittee and more partnership, I think is what we were looking for, because I think in the first year, there wasn't a routine yet. And so they did give us, Trustee Cordova and we did get an analysis of the adjustments, as well as the services utilized and not needed anymore, and the augmentations that they were going to have, and the coverage would still remain the same, but it would just kind of shift a little bit. But as far as personing, the personing was still, the personing increased, but I think just the way that they had done it had changed, and then the cost decreased a little bit and still stayed within the budget that we had originally approved. That's most of the update. Trustee Cordova, you want to add anything?
I believe we also spoke about the health deputies, that we only have one for the district. And so I believe we were trying to see if we could work with some type of mental health services to try to just increase that. But yeah, that was my only concern.
Yeah, that was something that we really wanted to look at too, because as of right now, there's one on site, not on site, on person for that for all 9 campuses, the whole 900 square miles. And so if there was a crisis in multiple campuses where we needed someone that had more de-escalation, mental health awareness kind of support, the sheriff's contract didn't currently have a additional support to make that more aware. And we definitely thought that that was something that we wanted to see more of for our campus communities.
Yeah, Trustee Wellhut.
So just in terms of kind of, let me get close. What occurred kind of last month, I asked the question, whether this contract should have come back as an amendment. So I believe I could ask General Counsel. So what happened from? Was there a conversation with the sheriff with regard to whether this had to be an amendment or not have to be an amendment? I just want to confirm or not confirm it.
Yes, pursuant to the existing contract, any modifications to the deployment schedule, to the contract itself would require an amendment. So the item is before you for approval of an amendment.
So the reason I'm bringing that up, Chancellor, is that we as a board should not have to guess whether something should come back. I mean, the fact that a board member has to guess that, and I would expect that conversation occur between you and General Counsel with regard to whether this should have come back, because it should have, and non-attorneys were opining on a contract on whether it should come back. And that's almost outside, though it's completely outside of their scope of responsibilities to be giving that opinion. And I'm worried about that because I've seen that in other areas as well. So that's just a statement. Question number 2 is, biggest concern I saw was with regard to costs, right? So just basic cost. You have year 1, 2. In year 1, did you have costs on items that were not delivered? So again, just pure contract language that were not delivered that should have been delivered. Are those services going to then be poured over to year 2 with additional services? That's a question for you, Tim.
Let me ask Director McCray to join us. He's our Director of our District-wide Emergency Services. He oversees the specifics of the contract. He's our interface with the LA Sheriff's Department. Mr. McCray, welcome.
Thank you, Board Chancellor. Repeat that second question, please. I want to make sure I get it correct.
No problem. So there's a contract, basic contract. You're supposed to do X stuff in year 1. That's basic. It's not too complicated. Then you have year 2, you're going to move forward. So what I'm asking is if normally certain things weren't done in year 1, right? And I'm not sure what they were. That's not my job to figure out. What we heard last month was that not all of the deliverables were met in year 1. So do we get a discount for year 2, or the additional services going to be poured over into year 2, or do we just have to eat the fact that we didn't get those services?
No, there were no services that were a part of that base contract that we did not get that we're going to have to eat. There was a provision in the contract for the cadet student workers, and there was a compliance issue, if you will, in terms of getting the requested number hired. And so the way that actually works with the county is we're only charged if they're actually hired and if they actually worked. And so it's on an hourly basis. And so those positions weren't filled, we were not charged for that.
So our position is that the contract was met.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. McCray. I appreciate it. And then,
President Vela, can I ask a question on this contract?
Sure.
And I'm only going to ask this question because, I think there's some nuance in terms of the way that we're processing this item. And I think, probably necessitates a better approach overall. Because generally speaking, and I'm going to say this, the sheriff's department if we go into contract city spaces, for services provided, the approaches for security services tend to change. I mean, if I'm going to say this, that the concern I might have is if we're going through this on an annual basis like this, what happens when we have requests like the one that was mentioned by Trustee Eno and the student trustee about a desire to see more mental health, or what happens in an emergency basis scenario. A few years back, I think there was concerns about property damage and deployment of personnel in certain spaces. How do we get to the point where those things may come up and they become sort of executive choice decisions, and yet it's going to have a very substantial impact on a yearly approval process? Because I was operating under the understanding that we were approving a contract and that we would have it with increases. And now I'm, being told that we're going to review this for any substantial changes. But I think the challenge is I don't believe some of us viewed us as approving a static contract. We viewed it as approving a contract that has a number of items that change and get modified to ensure the kind of services that we expect. And more importantly is sort of sometimes the emergency basis of which security services are brought into effect. If there is a major crisis or a major emergency space, I think we want to be sure that we're going to handle first the emergency situation, and then not necessarily viewed it as a budget question, but it's a question that just comes forward. So I'm trying to find the balance of ensuring that this kind of dialogue that we're having right now and this kind of criticism that we levy on just the administration of the contract doesn't negatively impact real and potential security needs that may come up through the year that sometimes become a very decisive decision about making sure people are safe, as opposed to dealing with the budget first. So I don't know how we're handling that, but if that's the case, then this is the kind of contract where whether it's in committees or other spaces, that there needs to be continual update, so it just doesn't show up as a surprise once a year, and when people's concerns just get expressed then, as opposed to understanding and maneuvering and managing all throughout the year.
Trustee Vettis, those are very good points. Just to put this particular contract in context, the district a few years ago opted to issue a request for proposals, and the sheriff's was the successful bidder. You are correct that for professional services contracts, you normally do not have to go through a competitive process. You can select whatever entity you believe or whatever vendor you believe will provide you the best services. In this instance, because it was a request for proposal, the contract was drafted consistent with the terms of the RFP. And the board specifically directed staff to come back if the dollar amount increased. But by its own terms, the contract states that if there is any modification to the staffing, the deployment, that it would require a contract amendment. If we want to negotiate a modified contract that delegates certain authority to your chancellor or to your security officer, you can certainly ask us to look into that. As you know, because it is the county, it requires quite a bit of time, but it's not an impossible task, so long as the board understands that it will be a deviation from the RFP that is the basis for the initial contract.
I understand that, but I'm still raising the question of what happens in an emergency situation. Should we be consulted first before deployment, or what happens if that raises and now we're out of whack in this contract because of an emergency situation? I believe that's the why the appendices are there, because I thought in past practice, we always dealt with the emergency first and made sure safety and security was paramount. But we're here now, and I know we're doing the ratification at the end of the year, but sometimes, I've never been a fan of ratifications. I tend to like to see budgets ahead of time, but since we're moving into these new directions, I mean, what's to say that we don't have a conversation about a pre-approval, and then we move forward and then ratificate, and then we're out of the mode of ratification. But I don't know. We're changing practice and we're changing discussion points. I do want to be sure that we can certainly provide the kind of services that we expect, the ones that were in the RFP, and the ones that we believe are valuable to our students and our staff and our faculty. But at the same time, I also want to be sure that unexpected and unforeseen circumstances that arise in public safety, that we have sufficient space to be able to make sure that people are safe.
I'm sorry, Mr. McCraig, could you please succinctly answer Trustee Vetta's current question about emergency services? And then what I would suggest is perhaps having yourself, kind of answer the board through either a memo or have a one-on-one meeting with Trustee Vettas, but go ahead.
Absolutely. And I do think it's a great idea to meet with the ad hoc group on a regular basis. That way we can have these discussions well in advance, because this is a process we'll have to go through every year, as the 575 or deployment form has to be assigned every year.
Yes.
With respect to emergencies, there's nothing that will preclude the sheriff's department or even myself from addressing any issues that require an emergency response. And so that's a completely separate issue, and that we'll respond. And if it needs to be discussed, we can discuss it after the fact, but there are provisions in place for that.
Okay, thank you. And if you can follow up with me, I think that'd be great. And perhaps there's a space that we can separate out emergency issues from regular sort of everyday service. Then I think we can ensure the emergency response happens appropriately, as opposed to the way we're doing our regular deployment process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we definitely have to continue the ad hoc committee. I really think it's a great thing anyway. And I do want to remind everyone that the contract is really for us to have, for better lack of words, understanding with the sheriff and CERN. But we always reserve the right as the owner and as a client to suggest, to work with people, to modify, whether it's costs, whether it's deployment. And bringing it back every year is not such a big sacrifice. I think it's something that we need to do anyway in order to ensure that there is a potential, coverage of what each of our colleges need. And I think it's by the way, very systematic at, other cities and metro. And so anyway, I just want to thank you for that. Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have to go on. We do have. It was a separate vote, right? Okay. Can I have a motion and second to approve U11?
So moved.
All right, moved by Eno.
Second.
Second by our student trustee, Alexi. Okay. Let's go ahead and do roll call.
Student trustee,
Yes.
student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, now let's go ahead and go back to U12. Let's pull that up here. Oh, it was done. Okay. Okay, all right. You're right. Okay, U13, authorized lease facilities for district use at LA Mission College. Let's go ahead and put that up. All right. Okay. Any questions from the board on U13? Anyone? Okay. Well, now here to the right.
So I guess this goes to our general counsel. At the FEMPOC meeting, we asked, and President Ornadas, if she'd like to answer. At the FEMPOC, well, I guess Chancellor.
Yes.
I guess at FEMPOC, I think there's an overriding concern, at least in terms of you have a facility, it's an extension campus. So I asked a question with regard to CEQA. How does CEQA connect to this contract? Have we met it? That's one question. With CEQA, I know we said that there was a memo about potential parking. Have we secured those parking contracts? What are those contracts? In terms of this being a non-DSA building, what is specific trustee?
President Vela, if trustee Buona is speaking, his sound is out.
Actually, trustee Buona is still speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll speak more direct into. Can you hear me, Trustee Vettis?
Yeah, it's,
Okay, it might
keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with regard to trustee specific individual liability, with regard to some of the construction costs related to this facility, what is the specific individual trustee liability risk that is from there? Then with regard to some of the audit concerns that were brought up earlier today from facilities, do any of them have anything to do with Mission College and potentially any actions that could have occurred within this contract? Without knowing that, that's where I'd like this. So I guess there's a few people to answer some of those questions. So Chancellor, I'll leave it to you.
Okay, let me see if I can quarterback this a bit. I'll ask our general counsel and Dr. Smith to address the CEQA questions in just a moment, but let me ask Dr. Ornelas to assist us with the follow-up from the board. The board was at the FEMPOC was very specific in asking us to follow up on the very three specific items. One was mentioned, CEQA. Second was the issue of parking in the area and what we had been are doing to secure that. Look forward to that. And the third area was what to happen with the Sunland Tahunga area. So,
And one final question, well, probably not, but one question for now is with regard to the agenda item and how this was agendized, we received a memo. So from what, and on Friday, I copied whoever sent me the memo and I said, was that memo going to be made public? Under the Brown Act, my question is, why wasn't that memo made public? And what's the effect of that memo not being public on any vote that we may or may not take today?
okay, so let's start with the top, and I'll ask the general counsel to answer the question too. Dr. Bon had about personal liability, but let's start with from the top on the areas related to the Sunland Tahunga and parking. Dr. Nellis, can you give us a sense of what the status is on those two items?
Sure. Thank you for the questions, Trustee Buena. So specific to Sunland Tahunga, we are in conversations both with Councilwoman Rodriguez to occupy classroom space at her current field office in Tahunga. And we are also in conversations with the administration at Verdugo High School to occupy space there so that we continue to have a presence in the Sunland Tahunga area. In regards to parking, we have again continued the conversation with ERC, the current nonprofit that owns the facility. They have explored potential parking immediately across the street where there is a vacant parking lot. And they have secured a site about a third of a mile south of the building. Well, not secured, let me rephrase that. They have explored a site where there are currently 100 spaces available, and they have talked to us about possibly making an offer to purchase that property or sublease parking spaces from that property.
Just to clarify, the Sunland, the question about parking was about Pacoima. And so you brought up the additional sites or potential sites at Sunland. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're talking about the two different things.
That's correct.
Okay. Since, may I, Trustee Vela as president, may I go back and forth in terms of, because the president brought up another question, I just want clarity, but with your permission. Okay. Okay, thank you. So with regard to Sunland Tahunga, so just to be clear, just to clarify, the Sunland Tahunga site as we currently have it, that lease has it ended?
No, it's set to expire in March of 24.
Okay. Does it have a renewable?
It does not.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So just from the FEMPOC meeting to today, no additional parking outside of the current potential lease has been acquired.
That's correct.
Well, no, I mean, there's still the other
Okay,
questions that
so
I
let me,
just-
let me quarterback the rest of it. Let me turn to our general counsel. And they've been in communication around CEQA, so let me have her give an update, please.
Yes, Trustee Buena, thank you for those questions. Let me see if let me answer first the question related to the Brown Act. It is in fact accurate that the Brown Act requires that the agenda provide reasonable description of the actions that the board is going to take. And so it needs to be very clear for the members of the public, whoever's listening, that the item before the board today relates solely to POIMA, and the board's action today is not going to influence whatever is going to be done at the Hunga. That needs to be a separate action that's properly agendized, so the members of the community, the public, know what is being planned there, and that item will come back to the board. So you are not taking any action on that site today, or you cannot take any action on that site today under the Brown Act. It is also the case that because a lease, which is the approval that's before the board today, is considered a discretionary act, it does trigger compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. In this instance, we are getting final description of what exactly will be required, if any modifications to the building. And it appears at this point that the lease would likely qualify under a categorical exemption for CEQA, in which case we will bring that categorical exemption back for board action and appropriate filing with any clearinghouse and the county of Los Angeles. In terms of the DSA, we had previously advised the board that that is one, if not the only exclusive area when it comes to the Division of a State Architect and specifically Build Act, that any improvements made to buildings where students will be housed have to comply or receive approval from DSA with some exceptions. And I'm going to allow Dr. Smith to discuss the possible improvements or lack thereof that could qualify for one of the exemptions for DSA. But if in fact any improvements require DSA compliance, we would follow that procedure because otherwise there is personal liability for the board members if an earthquake or there was some other accident related to the modifications or the improvements.
Before, can I ask a follow-up question before Dr. Smith? So with regard to the Brown Act and the topic today, was that memo not being uploaded or made public? Does that have any effect on this meeting?
The memo has now been uploaded, and there is we have conveyed now clearly that any and all information that the board receives for any open session item must be included or must be made available to the public. Ideally, the memo should be part of the board report, the staff report, so that members of the public receive it at the time that the agenda is posted. I have been advised that the memo that was given to the board responding to questions that were posed is now uploaded and made and it is publicly available. But that should happen automatically as a matter of practice, because otherwise it would constitute a violation of the Brown Act.
Is there any legal jeopardy? Is there any legal jeopardy with regard to it wasn't uploaded when the agenda was uploaded with regard to this action?
At this point, the chancellor has indicated that the document has been uploaded, and I can certainly provide the board additional information regarding exposure as a closed session item, but for purposes of any more specific liability, that would not be appropriate to discuss in open session.
So Trustee Boulder, with regard to parking as well as Field Act compliance, AB 2097, the site actually qualifies for zero parking requirement, although we have 22, and then also looking at the requirement as a good neighbor. We also look at parking based on class. That's for classes, it's one square foot per 50 square foot, and then for office space, it's one per 500 square foot, which gives us that 22, but we actually could qualify for zero. That will actually be a part of the CEQA clearance, which we are, the three of us are recommending to come back with with possibly a CEQA exemption. And so moving forward today would probably be a recommendation with the conditional approval that we bring back the CEQA clearance.
Okay,
And
so
then for DSA, I'm sorry.
so the approval, so then the request is not a blanket approval of the potential lease. It's an approval with the lease pending CEQA.
Yes.
Okay, so general counsel does the landowner, whatever their name is, what's her name? EMC?
Economic Resource Corporation.
Yeah. Do they clearly know that that is the recommendation, not a blanket lease?
They they will know if they're here or watching this meeting, and we can certainly notify them. As we had indicated previously, the Office of General Counsel has reviewed the proposed lease. We're still in negotiations in terms of lease terms, and we haven't reached agreement on that point. So it is very clear to the district that there is no authorization to sign any lease until the CEQA issue has been adequately addressed and the lease terms have been approved by the Office of General Counsel.
Will that nullify any personal liability of any individual board member?
We would need to, we still don't, well, I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Smith because I'm not clear on what improvements are necessary, if any.
So with regard to field act compliance and liability, one of the things that's critical for short-term leases, it's routine and customary to have a third-party structural assessment as well as an ADA access compliance assessment. Once we go through that process, what we can do is we can apply for a waiver. And with that waiver, that allows us to occupy the space. DSA is not, their intent is not to saddle us with required improvements on a short-term lease space. We are trying it. It's not, technically a center, hasn't received center status yet. But if that is something that we are pursuing, it is routine and customary for DSA to review and provide waivers. And that is something that we could apply for under, with this site in Pacoima. And it's a recently, reviewed, assessed. I don't see it being a problem receiving that waiver.
So operationally, because we're saying that what's coming to us is that the approval would not occur until CEQA. When is the potential, in your experience, the potential actual date that a contract might actually take effect?
That's a very tough question. So
From your experience.
from my experience, it could be anywhere from a month to 3 months. It's just going to need to take the time that it takes to complete that exemption and exception based on what we apply. When we're going to apply, we see minimum or no changes really necessary based on the previous CEQA actions and the site, the recent improvements and renovations. I believe that Dr. Ornelas had shared that the site is occupiable as configured. If any minor changes that occur that is tenant improvement, we're talking about carpet and flooring, which has, that's more of an ADA path of travel issue opposed to a CEQA issue. CEQA is basically impacting on the community environment in the future. So what could be the future impact? Is it traffic patterns? Is it noise? It's those type of things that trigger a CEQA assessment analysis. And so I don't see that being a problem based on the current usage of the building.
If I can just interject, because I think CEQA, just on my land use hat on here, can be very scary for people, and they think of like years and years of litigation. You can confirm though that this is a very kind of square in the box class 1 exemption.
Correct.
For CEQA. This is not something that is complicated. This is very, very typically, land use lawyers were advised that this squarely fits into, obviously, I'm not doing that right now. Don't take, this is not legal advice, but I'm just saying, you know, like I just want to make sure that we're not scaring ourselves into this idea that this is like some football stadium situation, you know.
But Trustee Hernandez, that's a fair point. But when it comes to the California Environmental Quality Act, because pretty much anyone has standing, it's a very easy writ to file. It's very important for us to take it seriously and do the environmental analysis that's necessary to justify a categorical exemption. That, as you know, as a land use attorney, an environmental impact report is the best and broadest, and that's going to give us all the coverage we need to do what the negative declaration a little less. The categorical exemption, we need to have supporting documentation to justify saying there's not going to be any additional environmental reviews necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to make sure that we're not, you know, it's a broad category. And when we are looking at, you know, various, this is not something that we're not going to be doing, you know, there's not like a blue line stream running through this project and we're going to be like, you know, developing any sort of major construction. This is simply, we are engaging in a lease and we got to do our due diligence. That's why I'm very glad that you're here. But I just want to clarify.
We're going on our 15-minute mark. I want to go ahead and close the discussion. Okay,
Smaller question. So
quickly, please.
just to be very clear, so if General Counsel, with the opinion that you may or may not give us with regard to any violation that we may or may not have done with regard to the Brown Act, if because apparently nothing is going to be done within 1 or 3 months anyway, we could come back and cure it just in case anything may or may not have occurred. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And when we do come back, we're going to make sure that all the information that the board requested and needs will be in the agenda packet that is posted for the public.
One final question. So with regard to Dr. Smith and General Counsel, with regard to some of the audit concerns that went through the budget, are there any of the audit concerns which I have not seen, but you have, I'm assuming both of you have seen, that you, with regard to this project, are any of those audit concerns related to this that we should know?
From a legal perspective, there are no issues that I feel compelled to raise to the board at this point. I'll defer to the chancellor, who has significant more information to represent to the board what he believes.
Yeah, I would say from my review of what I've seen, it does not impact our decision today.
Okay, Trustee Hoffman?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, and I want to thank you for being here, Dr. Ornelas, and answering all the questions. You were here last month as well, and last month I know that I had a lot of questions. I think most of my questions have been answered. I do want to say that I've done a little bit of research. There are 6.8 million low-income, undereducated adults in the state of California who have not found their way to college. And so the fact that you're trying to bring college to them, I think is great. And so I'm excited now about this project in Coima, and I want to thank you for spending all the time to do all your research and get us all of the information. I also want to remind you, everyone on the board, that Board Docs has all of the information for all of the committees, so we can always go in there and look at audit reports, attachments to the facilities committee. You know, we don't have to just look at the attachments that are the committees that we sit on. And so I think all that information is in Board Docs right now. So Trustee Buolna, you can go in and look at the audit, which may or may not help in this, you make a decision in this instance.
I understand, but it's also up to senior management, because we're part-time employees, to go through it and give us their best advice.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, and I think they've done that. And then with this CEQA conversation and all of the questions that were asked, I just want to, I don't remember having this in-depth of a conversation at a full board meeting. I know a lot of this stuff is done at facilities. So when we approved the lease at the Southgate Center, where actually new owners took over and we wound up entering into a lease that was a little more expensive than what it originally was. I trust all of this was already vetted, correct? Or do we need to go back and revisit that as well?
You are absolutely right. This is one of the normal steps that should be taken. It's seamless. It's part of the approval process. And normally when facilities in the Office of General Counsel are involved in all of the planning for these projects, we can ensure that that happens. And the board will rarely remember they had a second vote on the environmental clearance because it normally should be very seamless.
Thank you. Thank you, President Ornelas.
Thank you, Trustee Hoffman.
Okay.
So on this matter, I just want to make sure that we're voting for a series of actions that need to occur before that lease is signed. And just to be very clear that it's not that can't occur. I just want to make sure, Chancellor, are we clear with that, or?
What I understand is that if you vote yes, that we will proceed you vote yes on approving the lease. And we will not sign that lease until we have all these other matters addressed.
CEQA and making sure that this was agendized correctly.
Want to amend it?
A suggested motion for the board's consideration
Sure,
is
I'm
the
sorry.
motion to.
Can I ask one additional question here? And I want to reflect the dialogue that occurred at FEMPOC accurately as well. The question about parking, it was a conversation that was had that it essentially also acknowledged the density in the neighborhood in Pacoima. We actually don't have a good sense as to how much parking we actually need here. And I think one of the things, we have an assumption that 22 spaces isn't sufficient, but we don't know if that's 22 spaces that should be sufficient or if it's 30 or 40. I think one of the conversation points was to certainly understand as the facility opens, is there parking that can become available to essentially make sure that the enrollment estimates that the President Ornelas has put on the table can be supported, but it could very well be met by community that lives within a 10-minute walk of this facility. That's part of the appealing points is that we have literally 14,000 people that are within a 1 mile proximity here of the facility. So I wanted to, I know as we're moving forward and having a conversation about conditions, and by the way, we have not, when in the Sunland Tahunga facility that we approved years back, we did not have this dialogue. And frankly, it was felt that facility in a shopping center, it's not the first time we put a satellite concept or satellite style office or class space in a satellite. I'm not sure those are the best kinds of facilities for it. For us, but they are regular practice, and we've done this a whole bunch. I know this one is starting to take a higher or different standard for whatever reasons. But at the same time, as we do these kinds of things, as we sort of make these kinds of decisions, the parking question is changing quite a bit in our districts. We have excess parking all around LACCD that were designed and put into place because of SEQA requirements. But those are on the campuses, and those are governed by facilities, and probably requires us to have a new flown decision or new flown assessment on how those things work. But when it comes to this space, we did have that conversation, thoughtfully. And it was a conversation that also included an assessment of when the facility starts and when the facility gets going, and what is the sort of human use and the student use to the spaces that are there.
Okay.
The recommendation I was going to make, President Vela, was the board can, if the board would like to entertain a motion to conditionally approve proceeding with the signing with the lease, condition on completing the CEQA compliance and having a more thorough explanation on the DSA potential waiver. And we can certainly bring that matter back for final approval, and we'll continue negotiating with the landlord the lease terms, right? The August meeting.
Okay, so let's go ahead and reflect that, because we're gonna ask for a motion. Okay.
Trustee, clarification, the end of her sentence, and it sort of got garbled out, was that at least be brought back to the board?
We normally, as a matter of practice, do not bring the actual lease back to the board, but the Office of General Counsel has been and will continue to negotiate the lease terms. And any final lease would be would be approved by the Office of General Counsel before executing the lease after the board's approves whatever CEQA clearance is required.
So if we don't see you again, basically it got approved with the conditions.
We will bring back for the next August meeting the CEQA clearance.
Oh, okay.
And we can also bring back at that point further explanation on the DSA aspect, whether a waiver or what else will be required. I would not recommend, Trustee Buena, including the Brown Act piece because the Brown Act has to be complied with every item on our agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion, I believe, with Wellna. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second with Henderson reflecting general counsel. Yeah.
I just want, just
We're in
clarify.
discussion now. It did get a motion a second.
Okay. Is it clear?
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, so just so I think I understand what you're saying. So you were just conditionally approving, assuming, you know, you're moving forward with the lease terms and negotiation, assuming that CEQA and DSA issues are resolved.
Yes.
But can I say something?
Let's go.
But you said you were going to bring back, we're not going to approve a lease agreement until you bring back the CEQA exemption and the DSA. Why can't we just give you the authority to go right ahead and we can approve the signing of the lease now, and so we don't have to come back in August?
Under the California Environmental Quality Act, you first have to have the environmental clearance before you approve discretionary action. We won't, at this point, the negotiation of the lease terms will not be completed within the 30 days. So the timing, unless Dr. Ornelas disagrees, the timing is fine. We will continue to move forward with the lease negotiation, with the CEQA, with DSA, as if we had received full approval. But the action will have to, the CEQA action will have to take place before the lease is executed.
How does that affect the marketing and enrollment plan? Or does it affect it, President Ornelas?
Well, given the comments today, our plan is to rev up and be ready to go as soon as we get CEQA exemption through the board, because that seems very promising. So we're in full swing gearing up, and as soon as we get the green light, we're going to roll it out.
Right. Even if it's late start, 13 week, whatever you need to do.
That's right. We're gearing up. We're getting all of the marketing, our schedule, everything is set. So, you know, we're pretty confident. I mean, I shouldn't shoot myself in the foot here, but we're confident that this will have CEQA exemption next month. And we will work with our general counsel, and we've already, you know, started working with Dr. Smith's team on securing a structural engineer. So we've got all the motions in play.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Hey,
before we take,
Just, I'm sorry, I don't think we got a clarification. Similar question to Ms. Hoffman. We're conditionally approving this, but this is not coming back to our August meeting, correct? This is if it's CEQA approved, if it goes through its CEQA process satisfactorily, this is not coming back to us.
The item will come back to the August meeting. It will come back, whether it's a categorical exemption or any additional requirement. The CEQA clearance will come back for the August meeting.
Why would it need to? Could we not include a motion that conditionally approves it upon meeting CEQA, whether it's through a categorical exemption or whether it's through, I mean, if it doesn't require any additional, it almost feels like we're acknowledging CEQA as opposed to, you know, does it meet California Environmental Quality Act? Is it meeting it, whether it's exemptions or what? I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand, why is this coming back to us? Why are you proposing for it to come back to us? And could we not approve it on the condition that it meets CEQA?
The Brown Act only allows the board to act on items that have been identified in your agenda. We would have had to identify the categorical exemption, and that would have required a separate board vote. The way we normally separate the CEQA clearance when you approve, you recently went through the stormwater, for example, approvals. There's two separate actions: the action for whatever contract and the action that provides the CEQA clearance. So the sequel part of this approval was not included in the agenda. And so the board cannot take action on that today.
Right. Even exemptions have to be
Yes.
recognized by the board. All right. I do need to move on, trustees. We have a call for vote. I want to take the privilege of being chair to just talk about a couple of things that I think could have been better for everyone. Always remember that trustees are stakeholders too. And so when you move forward with your projects and working with politicians and community members, we need to know way ahead of time what you're planning, and whether you want to do a committee of the whole or whatever, you can come and do it here. We'll always welcome you. Next, we really need to work together with our chief facilities team, as well as our general counsel while you're putting all this together. Because things like CEQA come up, as well as using our dollars for capital improvements. So, I think that we kind of are getting there, but I really would have liked for facilities to work in tandem and really preferably have the president of the college together with the CFE and the chancellor present to the board kind of, a long kind of, outline and timeline to give us the opportunity to also weigh in on some of these issues. So, again, I'm not trying to get on anyone saying that you did a bad thing. I think I also want to thank you, President Ornelas, of having the ear in the community. But we do have to ensure that all of this stuff is kind of, dealt with before we approve it. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and do roll call.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Right. Yes.
Okay, I think you say yes. All right, motion approved. Congratulations, Dr. Ornelas. Okay, so let's go ahead to U14. That was pulled by trustee Hernandez. Okay, let's go bring that up. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted more information about this. What is the product? How does it work?
Let me start, and then I'll ask maybe Dr. Abel Lopez to help me with this. This allows for our students to have 24/7 mental health services that are through an app, essentially. So this supplements the additional mental health services that we have available at our colleges that are in person, and in some cases online. So this is a supplemental application. This telehealth, or the company Timely MD, is under a master agreement from the state Foundation for California Community Colleges. That foundation is often in a place to negotiate and where colleges can piggyback on statewide contracts for a good rate. So this Timely MD is a service that is utilized throughout the state community colleges. It's a fee for service. So the colleges, by their student head count per pupil, that's how the fee is indeed done. It's 24/7, it's unlimited, and it gives the students again additional support through an application that they can access. So the idea here is to provide students mental health support, and we learned that that was one of the key areas during and post-pandemic that our students are having challenges with. So this provides a service. It is paid for, as you see here, through the mental health student services, a support account. Our students has paid for mental health support. We received extra dollars as well from the state of California over the last several years to provide this kind of services. So it's our opportunity to exercise a contract that's already been vetted through the state office. So did I miss anything, Dr. Abel Lopez? Hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and substantively, I think this is great. Telehealth is so important. How is this going to be rolled out? Like, how will students have access to it? Has this been like ongoing talk with the colleges? Like, obviously it's great to have the service, but I just want a little more information, given that this is a pretty big licensing agreement. Like, has it gone to IESS? Or I don't think the board's seen this before.
This typically would not go to IASS. This is a recommendation that comes from our chief student services officers. That particular body, we had already had several colleges that were utilizing this service, and it was robust, and they found that it was important. We did look at other providers during the last 6 months, and this is the one that the remaining colleges felt best met the needs of our students. And given the low cost of $10.25 per student, and that they receive up to 12 counseling sessions, that's, very significant support for our students that we normally wouldn't take. So our chief student services officers made the recommendation.
So the colleges have been working on, they're anticipating this will be rolled out.
Yes, so we have it on the board agenda now so that we still have a few months before the fall semester begins to provide the training and the awareness. But we do currently have a few colleges that are using it.
Yeah, Trustee Hope.
Yeah, thank you. I would also just like to see what the rollout would look like and how we're going to market it to students, because so often, and I work at a community college, so often students come in, they had no idea that there's mental health counseling available. So if we could just make sure that students are aware, I think this is great. So thank you.
I also have a question.
Yeah.
So only the 7 colleges adopted it. What are the plans for Southwest and ELAC?
I believe the colleges currently have it. So now this would be a district-wide approach, and all colleges will be on Timely MD.
Thank you.
And
That's a great question.
the mental health services support account, are those reoccurring dollars, or is that, this is for about 3 years, it looks like?
Correct. My understanding, these are dollars that are coming into us from the state that are utilized for this. In the past, this particular service was paid for out of our student health fees. But now that we have the other dollars coming in for the state, we're utilizing those dollars for this contract.
Any more comments or questions? I think,
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yeah, I know we're doing a piggyback here on this contract. Considering sort of the cost of the amount, is there a reason why we didn't do our own sort of customized approach? And there's several vendors that do this kind of work now. I think, I know we're doing this for the students per se, but these are also the kinds of things that we might want to consider with our DBC, no, not DBC, I'm sorry, our Joint Labor Benefits Committee as well, because these are the kinds of things employees and faculty and others could certainly take advantage of. But just curious as to why approach here as opposed to something more comprehensive and across the board.
We looked at multiple vendors over the last 6 months. They presented to the CSSOs, and given the low cost of this was essentially why we selected it for this next 3-year period.
So Trustee Vettis, I was actually gonna kind of put all of this together, kind of like what you're saying, if you don't mind.
No, sure. I'm just going to take the answer of low cost. I mean, it's still $250,000 a year, and I'm just, I'm not sure how it's low cost because I don't have anything to compare it to exactly. But yeah, if we can put it together, it's important. I think it's valuable. But I just want to be sure that of all the things that are on the table, especially app-based, there's a lot in the market right now, and a lot coming to us.
Absolutely. I think what we could do, Chancellor, is perhaps kind of look at, I know I work closely with Dr. Ryan Corner for the health services RFP that went out about 3 years ago, which, are service providers at each college. And so I think what we could do is potentially roll all of that in potentially together, or at least compete it that way, because what happened during the pandemic is like our current health providers really weren't there 24 hours for our students to be able to get mental health services. They still had to go into the campus or make the call, and then they would put an appointment together. So I do think that there is some, what Trustee Vettis is saying is that, we're doing a big kind of pretty long contract with Timely MD. But if we can kind of consolidate all of those services, I know You know, some of our providers are going into technology and doing apps. So, you know, perhaps they can also bring that part in. But anyway, that's just my comment on that. We have an expert here. There he is.
Roberto Gonzalez, Vice President of Student Services, also the Chief Student Services Council Chair. The other concern was capacity. Timely MD has the resources to be able to meet the capacity and the service needs for our district. We did look at different vendors, just as Vice Chancellor Alba Lopez mentioned, but the big concern was being able to hit the ground running as soon as we got it going. So I just wanted to mention that piece. And so.
Oh, we appreciate that. You coming in. showing
Thank
us.
you.
Any more questions on this? Any more?
I don't have any other questions, but I mean, this is such an important issue. And I know personally I have telehealth, and I don't use it as much as I probably should, probably because I just,
Same
don't-
here,
and
yeah.
so I think the most important piece of this is that our students know that it's actually available. I would hate to spend this much money and not have, you know, and our students not have access to these mental health services. So I don't know if that, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that like our students really know, and it's hard to tell from up here on the dais if that actually happens, that we are getting out there and making sure that people have access to this.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
What
Cordova?
department will be advocating for it, like EOPS or all of them
So
essentially?
it'll be across the board. Most colleges are courting through their basic needs centers, but it's something that's widely available through all of our departments. And there are analytics available that we can share with the board.
Thank you. I mean, I do appreciate that. And if we could work closely with our student trustee to promote, that would be fantastic.
Even, you know, report
Video.
at some point, once it gets rolled out of like
could
how
also
many
bring
people
it
are
to-
using it.
Okay, maybe take it to SAC once since it's going to be approved, bring it to the student advisory.
Well, isn't Southwest and what was the other college that's
ELAC.
Zach?
and
ELAC.
ELAC? Can we get some, since they've been using it, can we maybe get a report by the next board meeting?
Yes, we can do that.
You're not using anymore? Or
Sorry.
Oh,
just,
Valley. Okay.
okay.
Oh, you. Okay, thank you. Valley, I don't like Valley College.
So ELAC doesn't have online services, but they do have mental health services.
All colleges do have
Yeah.
mental health services.
Okay,
available.
but you're not, ELAC is not carrying this proposal, right? They're
Not, sorry for the
No.
misspoke.
We had the same questions during board leadership with agenda setting, and we were like, this is a lot and like whatever. So, but they are initiated at each campus. And so they decided together to come to us. All right, any more discussion on this? Hearing none, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Eno, second by Hoffman. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buona, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, can I have a motion and a second to adopt facility items V1 through V14, and then later I'll ask if there's any for separate discussion and vote.
Moved.
Moved by Henderson, second by Eno. Roll call, please. Actually, no, sorry, I apologize. No roll call. We just adopted them, right? Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead. Are there any additional items which require additional information from V1 through V14? We have them here, if you could put them up. Okay, hearing none. Let's go ahead and do the roll call.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buona, trustee Hernandez, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Definitely was a holiday last night. Um, okay. Let's see. Okay. Now we're going on to human resources items. Let's start with W1. Before we proceed to vote on the next 3 action items in regards to employment actions, I'll read the following language for the record. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953C3, which is part of the Brown Act, we're required to make an oral summary of proposed action on the salary schedules, compensation paid in the form of fringe, and all executive level positions as defined as subdivision D of Government Section Code 3511.1 during the open meeting in which final action is to be taken. In our case, we need to provide summary for the positions of Chancellor, the Vice Chancellors, and the college presidents. The agenda now before us includes the employment action for Katrina Vanderwood, interim Vice Chancellor, Workforce Development and Adult Ed through August 31st, 23. And then we also have, actually, that's it. All right. I have a motion, a second on W1.
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
seconded by Henderson. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Next, W2 is employment action for Anthony Culpepper, interim college president for LA Southwest College from July 1st, 23, 1523. Dr. Culpepper's salary will be step 4 of the vice chancellor and college president salary schedule. Will be entitled to same health and welfare benefits, including health benefits. He'll also receive a $500 a month car allowance. May I have a motion and second on W2?
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
second by Henderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Oh, yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
The motion passes. Next is W3, employment action for interim deputy chancellor. Interim deputy chancellor from July 1st to 2023 to December 31st, 23. Dr. Burke's starting salary will be step 1 of the deputy chancellor's salary schedule, and she will be entitled to the same health and welfare benefits as received by other unrepresented administrators, including retiree health benefits. Dr. Burke will receive the $500 a month car allowance. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Moved
I'll
by-
second.
Seconded by Hoffman. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next is the approval of board policies in chapter 3, X1. Chancellor, would you like to provide a brief explanation on the next 2 action items?
Yes, so these are both first reads related to board policies 3518, 3550, 3560, and 3715 on a variety of subjects. It's the first read. These have been vetted, and we're bringing to those both in 3 and 7 to your attention. If there's any questions, we're happy to note those before bringing them back as a second and final read.
Okay, can you briefly talk about each one and what they do?
Okay, let's start, let's bring up 3518. This relates to child abuse reporting.
Just briefly.
And what this does, and maybe should I have general counsel walk through these? Is that easier?
Yeah, that'd be
Or,
great.
Chancellor, since these are your recommended policies.
happy to do so. And this essentially asks the board through the chancellor to establish procedures related to our responsibilities on child abuse reporting.
Okay, next.
This relates to a board policy, and again, soliciting through the chancellor administrative procedures that will make very clear our interest and our processes related to having a drug-free environment and drug-free prevention at the district.
Next.
This relates to alcoholic beverages. You can see on the red strike, there's just a couple of edits there, but essentially it authorizes the chancellor with your support and authority to enact procedures regarding the serving of alcoholic beverages on our campuses and our fundraising events.
Okay.
Then lastly, 3715 relates to intellectual property, and it allows, with your authority from my office, to establish procedures related to intellectual property that is created by district employees and students.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion and a second for item X1?
There's, yes.
Would this allow for
Next item.
questions? Would this allow for questions as well, or?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna do a motion and second on discussion, but. yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't pass it before we.
No,
I'm sorry, these are second reads. These are final reads. Pardon me.
yeah, but I still need to get a
Yeah,
motion.
yes, excuse me.
And
I
need
said
to-
earlier, I said first
I
reads.
need to approve them.
Excuse me.
Okay, so can I have a motion and second for X1, which includes these four?
I'll move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
move Hoffman, seconded by Eno. Okay, discussion.
Um,
Yes, right, and then left.
So, General Chancellor, General Chancellor, General Counsel, a question that I've always asked, is there anything with regard to these rules that we should know of, that we haven't asked, that you believe, in your opinion, we should know before the second read?
We don't, OGC has reviewed these for legal compliance and we do not have any objections.
Thank you.
Okay. We need a
President,
motion second, trustee.
President Vela, can I ask a quick question? Drug-free environment, drug-free prevention. How do we deal with marijuana?
Ask our Vice Chancellor Williams to take that one.
Good
This
afternoon.
this might be general counsel as well, since it's a federal issue and a state issue as well.
So in what capacity are you asking how we deal with marijuana?
But maybe I can begin and Ms. Williams can jump in and assist. It is a very good question, Trustee Vettis, because it is legal in California, the use of CBD and the use of marijuana is legal in California. But we are an educational entity that receives federal funding, and under federal law, it is not. And we are a drug-free institution. And so it is not permissible to use marijuana on our school campuses. It is not permissible for our employees to be under the influence of marijuana or other substance while they are at work. We are, as most employers, running into certain challenges as it relates to the new CBD products. So it's not as easy as somebody who smells like marijuana, or we certainly don't have any way of requiring an employee, for example, to take any test to determine whether or not they've used marijuana. So we are working with our different campuses. It is a very sensitive balance between ensuring we respect people's rights to utilize marijuana as is permitted in the state, and nonetheless ensure that under federal law it is not being used on our campus and no one is under the influence of any substance while they are at work.
I will piggyback on GC Medina's comments, say 100% agree with her comments. The exception is where you find AP 6950, U.S. Department of Transportation does have regulations related to operating of machinery and testing requirements for safety sensitive classification.
Sounds good. Trustee Vettis, did that answer your question? All right. I think.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll make sure. All right. Okay. So we do have a motion and a second, and with no further discussion, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vela?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
We go to, thank you. We go to chapter 7. And we're asking for the board's support for board policy 7600. The only change there is that we're broadening the title to campus safety and security that correspond with our larger interest. And again, the AP is included, and it allows us to this office to provide procedures that allow for the safety and security of our colleges and our district office.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second on item X2?
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
second Hoffman. Any discussion on X2? Yeah. Chapter 7.
Again, General Counsel, my question.
The Office of General Counsel does not have any objections to this policy.
Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So Y1 through, I believe, 3 are notice reports and informatives. One is a notification out of state travel. The other one is notice for approval of board policies, chapter 3. I believe that was already done. And then this informative is that we're initiating the proposal of supervisory employees SEIU 721 to the LA Community College District regarding negotiations of the 23-25 collective bargaining. Chancellor, do you have any other information on this?
That, on any of the three, no, they're all presented as noted on the agenda,
Okay.
and no actions required, sir.
Okay, so you could go ahead and just look at them there through the screen. Y1, notice of state, notice of two students, Chicago, Illinois. All right, any questions on Y1? Okay, let's do Y2. East LA College, same thing. All right, part 3, LC. Okay, any questions on Y2? None. All right, and then Y3 is the SCIU openers. Okay. All right, thank you, everyone. No questions. Great. Announcements and indications of future proposed actions by Board of Trustees. Is there anyone? Let's start over here to my right with our student trustee, Cordova.
Yes. We discussed that we are concerned about the, I'm sorry, one second. We are concerned about, the ASO rep fees, that were not paid, during the pandemic year. And we are worried that the students are gonna be reliable to pay for the fallback that happened during the pandemic. And we're hoping to push for the district to, take up that cost. Also, I have got email proposing hopefully for the lunar year to be recognized as a holiday. I think paid off as well. I still have to get some of the kinks out of that. And and I believe that is it for now.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to my left. Trustee Hoffman, any announcements, anything?
I just want to say that I've been attending consultation council each month in my role as president of the Triple CT board. And we had our first consultation council on June 15th with the new state chancellor, Sonia Christian, whose vision 2030 is really aligned with everything that we prioritize here in LACCD. So I'm really excited to be able to be working in this high level capacity. And I want to thank you, Chancellor. I know she's reached out to you several times and she holds LACCD in high regard, which is really great. I also want to encourage you, Trustee Cordova, if you are interested, I know you're going to the student trustee conference in August. There is a spot for the student trustee at the state level with the Community College League. And if you were interested in running, I would support you 100%. I think you would make a really, really good representative statewide. And it's so nice to meet you in person today.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the deadline was July 3rd, if I'm not mistaken though. Yeah, but
check again.
yeah,
Check again.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then Chancellor, for our August meeting, can we add a report out from Trustee Hoffman for her role as president of the league?
Thank you.
And update us for August?
Thank you.
If we could add it in the board reports. Also, I wanted to acknowledge it's Trustee Andra Hoffman's birthday today, so acknowledge her wonderful day that she joined us on this gorgeous planet.
I'm the youngest one on the board.
Okay, let's go.
Liar.
Right. Let's go right here to my right. Trustee Buena, any announcements?
Yeah, I would like us to consider a board rule, looking at items, especially construction items, that board members that are non-DSA and that have board personal liability. Because we had Dr. Smith make a report, I think about 3-4 months ago, about 6 projects that are not DSA that bring liability to us personally, right? So I think it may be helpful to have a regular board rule that would track those, maybe on a monthly basis, that we get a report on those projects. Because at this point, if we don't ask, no one's really telling us. Not that Dr. Smith is doing anything wrong, but as a board, we really don't know what that liability is. So I do request from you, President Vela, if we could at least begin to contemplate what that might look like, so board members don't have to keep thinking and constantly about what our liability.
Okay, sounds good. I fully support that. Okay, any other announcements?
Oh, we have the taquiada and barbecue next Thursday.
Oh, okay.
The chancellor has mentioned it several times. It's in emails. So everyone is welcome. I think that you and Trustee Vettis conveniently are out of town at
Yeah,
a popular
we're
conference.
missing the tacos. Yeah.
But most of the trustees, Trustee Hoffman hasn't responded yet, but she may or may not have turned depending on where she's at. But thank you, everyone.
What? Wait, what didn't I respond to?
Barbecue.
On the 13th? Yeah, I responded.
Oh, okay. Then
I'll be
we're
there.
gonna have a full house except for you and President Vettis, who are in
Yeah.
New York.
I would really appreciate you doing that. Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, and we will have, since you didn't ask me for my in-language report, Chancellor Rodriguez and I will be next next Wednesday up in Sacramento speaking on AB 1096, and we did get support from the State Chancellor's Office, and we received from Legal Aid Foundation and Rural Legal. So momentum
Great
is
news.
building. Maria Velos, who's the most awesome person dealing with legislation, is almost at 50 letters, correct? Okay.
That's great. Good job.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Wella. Trustee Hernandez, any announcements?
No.
Okay, Trustee Eno, Vice President Eno. Okay, I have none. Vice President Henderson.
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you all. Now we're gonna go ahead and call up our public speakers. We're gonna start with Miss Janet Clark regarding the presidential search at LA Southwest College. Miss Clark, come on up.
President Vela, were we going to take a vote on the time of our public speakers? Because I know that
Yes,
Can we please do
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Can
that.
you make the,
So,
so sorry.
if you could hold on, Miss Clark. So, there are about 20 speakers on the really it's not on the agenda, but it's the North Valley Military Institute is the topic. And so what I want to do is go ahead and ask the board for a 1 minute limit to each speaker. So which is our policy. We can only give 20 minutes per topic. So I think you guys are all going to get a turn. So let's go ahead and get a motion and a second for that.
So moved.
Moved by Henderson,
Second.
seconded by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cordova's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buona, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Veras.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Hoffman, for bringing that up. Motion passes. But let's go ahead, Ms. Clark. I know this is a different topic. It's regarding
How
LA
much
Southwest
time do
College,
I-
please.
How much time do I have?
Yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna separate you from the rest, so, yeah. You have 3.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, that's 12. In any case, I am Dr. Janet Clark.
Pleasure.
I am a member of the California Community College District African American Black Advisory Council Committee for the Chancellor, statewide Chancellor. I'm a member of the LA Southwest Community Coalition. I am a member of the LA Southwest Foundation Board. I am a retired educator. I'm the former principal of the Maxine Waters Employment Prep Center, a feeder school to LA Southwest College in nursing and early childhood education programs. We had programs that had articulation agreements with LA Southwest College. I'm here for 2 reasons. One, to make you aware of a formal complaint I filed this morning and sent to you regarding the presidential search for LA Southwest College and the process. I made the complaint with the regional area, Southwest Regional Director for the NAACP, who is taking the complaint to the state of California because I believe there were discriminatory practices in process during that search. I secondly am here because I heard you talk about the great work of Dr. Anthony Culpepper. You will recall more than a year ago when Dr. Awan was the president of that college, community, faculty, staff, students were in alarm and the campus was wreaking havoc. The community was unwelcome. The sheriff was ordering people off the campus who historically had been there. Historical programs like the HBCU College Fair, community people walking the ground, parking on campus, the use of the theater, the use of the pool was thwarted and denied. The fees in the parking lots, the fees on the campus were astronomical, and people could not use the facility that so many of us fought to have available. I used to drive Lillian Mobley. Any of you who've known Mrs. Mobley and Mary Henry and Edith Abrams and Nola Carter were founding members, as well as Odessa Cox and her daughter, who also sits on the board, the foundation board, Sandra Cox, Dr. Cox. We all are happy to have had Dr. Culpepper come to the campus. He has brought healing, quiet. He has brought pride and dignity. He has improved the cleanliness of that campus, and he's welcomed us, as evidenced by the accreditation that you talked about, the 7-year accreditation, because he's welcomed us all back to that campus. I am concerned, and this is why I'm here, that he was not given an opportunity to even courtesy interview for the position of president, permanent president of that campus. Why on earth, after all of the problems that have gone on that campus, would he not even be considered for the permanent position as president of that campus? He is well credentialed. He has done an excellent job. 48% of the population at large around that campus looks like me. That campus has historically been a campus where my descendancy has been welcome. We as a people do not deny access and opportunity to anybody. There are 116 community colleges in this state of California, and one of them, we ask, welcomes us. And LA Southwest College has been one. Dr. Culpepper was a student of LA Southwest College in the 1980s, and some of the members of the foundation board remember him as a student. He is an example of what we talk about in the state chancellor's office as a person who comes from our institution.
Dr. Clark, I'm so sorry, but we're gonna have to wrap up. Your limit was 3 minutes and you're going on 6 minutes?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm just telling you the truth.
Okay.
I apologize.
Well, let me just say, 28% increase in enrollment, 7-year accreditation with commendations for welcoming and involvement of the community. Cross-curricular scheduling where a student can go to the LA Southwest College and receive its Associate of Arts and degrees and certifications there on the campus. They don't have to go someplace else. 5-year recertification of the nursing program. My 50 classes now in dual enrollment. He personally went out to the high schools and recruited and has classes abounding. Why change, I ask you? Why disrupt the peace and harmony that now exists? Is it that you don't want the campus to succeed? We are now marketing. We have billboards and bus advertisements it is important that we consider the work that the man has done and his credentials. I don't know how these other people had precedence over him, given the fact that you have not heard from us, the community. We have not inundated you with complaint. Why change? Why begin again? Please consider this man as the permanent president of LA Southwest College.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark. Okay. As I mentioned before, we're going to go ahead and enter into one specific topic, and that's the North Valley Military Institute Mission College lease. Let's start with Norma Ramirez, Janelle Roulet, and Lawrence Saranena. So if you guys would like to come up, please. Okay. All right, are you Ms., please state your name.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, members of the board and Chancellor Rodriguez. My name is Norma Ramirez, and I'm a community activist and the co-founder of the United for Education Coalition. And most important, I'm the co-founder of Mission College. Yes, you heard it right. Co-founder of Los Angeles Mission College. At the age of 14 and during my high school years, and under the leadership of Señora Guadalupe Ramirez, que descanse en paz, and other leaders in the community, my sister and I walked the streets many times to gather signatures to build the college. LA Mission College was built for children that look like this, for brown face children that need an education. It was built for any other student living in the service area. Señora Ramirez must be turning in her grave, knowing that this board is being irresponsible and not showing any empathy for the most vulnerable students. In your last meeting, someone mentioned that the decision to lease MBMI, at least it was like Sophie's choice. And some of you agree with them. And if your pain is so great, then turn around and make it better. Make it better by granting the lease. You made a huge mistake. We understand that. But mistakes can be fixed. We are being hit really hard, and you need to think about that. You need to think about that. The people in power are stripping us from our rights. Think about affirmative action.
Yeah, your time is up. If you could wrap up.
Finish my message. It is beyond cruel for you not to lease the space. Students are suffering, families are suffering, and you have to realize that they're human beings, that they bleed like you and me.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
What happens to all the talk about making spaces and keeping doors open? Cumplan su promesa. Call for an emergency meeting right now, ahora mismo. Stop the talk and do the work. And you, Chancellor Rodriguez, you need to do your homework. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Ms. Roulet. I apologize if I didn't pronounce it right.
All good. Good afternoon, trustees, Chancellor Rodriguez. My name is Janelle Ruley. I am an attorney with the law offices of Young, Me, and Core here on behalf of North Valley Military Institute. We're here today with one simple request, which is that we ask that you schedule a special meeting this month to take action and vote on whether or not to issue a lease to North Valley Military Institute at LA Mission College. We're speaking on non-agenda public comment today because previous requests and promises to be on agendas have not been honored. NVMI is in a really tough situation. It's battling to stay alive, and it's caught between two agencies that are waiting for the other agency to take action. None of this, of course, is the district's responsibility. Excuse me. But the district can actually help tremendously and can take action here just by agendizing the lease item. Approving the lease does not mean that the district passes any judgment whatsoever on the charter school, whether it's a good school, whether it should continue to operate, none of that. All we're doing really is to authorize whether North Valley would be a tenant of LA Mission College. The district can take action independent of Los Angeles County Office of Education. We ask today that you choose to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rulli. Next is Lauren Serenata.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Lawrence Sadiam, the athletic director from North Valley Military.
One moment, please. Will Mr. Matt Smith, Don Zelli, and Christina Rojas please come up behind Mr. Serenata? We'll restart your time.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you for your time. First off, that's a huge win for Pacoima if the school actually goes in from that neighborhood, so that's a huge win. I'm here to talk to you about things on the agenda for the next board meeting. Our kids have been successful at Mission College, or especially our male kids, especially when they've been left behind from the other schools, had lower reading scores. And it's interesting to see them go to Mission College for the first time. They are scared, they are worried, they are concerned for any of the classes. But once they pass that first class, suddenly they boost a whole self-esteem. They know they can do anything possible. And that's all through what we've been doing for the last couple of years with LAMC. I know this year we're in person, the last couple of years been through Zoom, or they came to our campus. We'd just like to continue that relationship and be put on the agenda to be heard from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Matt Smith, Don Zelli, and Christina Rojas.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am a proud mom of just a graduate this year student. He wasn't able to be here because he was working, but I have other two students. I have my biological son, and I have I'm a caregiver for another young lady. And I just want to share that if you can please take it in consideration in making us an emergency meeting to help us keep the school open. This school has been there for our children. My kid has been there since 6th grade to 12th grade, both of them. And no, there's no school, no disrespect to LAUSD, but there is no school who will go above and beyond for our children like they have. You guys were just mentioning mental health services and stuff. This school has had all the staff that they needed for all of our children who need mental health issues. And it would be really beneficial that Chancellor, if you would be able to please just hear us out to see if you could give us an opportunity to help us with our school. This school is the best school, and I will go above and beyond with them to try to save this school. And I'm hoping that the high school part still can still be able to stay open so that my other son gets to graduate. They believed on my children when they didn't even believe on themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rojas. Jeanette Ballesteros. Gabriela Opplinger, Olga Fuentes is next.
Hi, good afternoon. I will be taking Jan Sally's space.
Okay.
My name is Bitsy Quintanilla, and I'm actually a proud mother of one of the students at MBMI. I want to start by saying that unfortunately, previously education for my son through LAUSD and other previous schools, because he has ADHD, have been horrible. He was mistreated, labeled by teachers, and also teachers burning out as he taking medication, which caused a lot of bullying. NVMI has given my son the opportunity to thrive and feel that he has found that home. It does take a whole village to raise a child, and as a single mother and also two-time graduated student from LA Valley College, I do know and understand the power that a community college has to help you grow and reach your dreams and inspiration. This year was my first time like I said, as a single parent, it's been really difficult to get to reach my educational goals, and I have done that. And I'm asking you to please give my son and any future students the opportunity to do the same thing by attending MBMI and keeping them open. And not only that, but also allowing them to be at, Mission College, because it's a great school. And my son, when he went there and understood that this might be an opportunity for him this fall, he's excited. He wants to become graduate in engineering. And MBMI has given him that opportunity to want to excel and do that, even with his disability. So I'm asking you to please, not only my son, but all students with disability, give him that chance to thrive, to feel that disabilities are not going to put a hold on you. You still can reach your dreams. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeanette Ballesteros. I am a proud parent of students of MVMI. My son also just graduated this year. I'm also here representing families and parents who were not able to be here, and I'm asking you guys to please put us on the agenda. You guys heard all the great stories that MVMI has done for many children, again, including my kids. They had just mentioned how, the college program, my kids didn't have they weren't confident. And my older son, he finally started taking the college classes, believed in himself, and he is doing amazing with the support of the staff, with the support of the program. So we're asking you guys to please, it's just put us on the agenda. It's not like we're asking, like they said earlier, it's not like we're asking for you guys to approve it already. It's just put us on the agenda. This gentleman earlier mentioned how he has great stories about Gloria Molina. A lot of our teachers are those stories as well. You mentioned and you showed pictures about what student success is. This is also our student success and more. These kids right here is our student success. And we wouldn't be here, again, emotional, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't believe it, if we didn't see it with our eyes. Again, like my kids are not here either because my son graduated, he got a job. 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., but he got a job. All I'm asking is to please put us on the agenda, and you guys will not regret the success that the MBMI will continue doing for our community and our kids. Thank you.
Okay, Gabriela Oplinger, Olga Fuentes, Lourdes Gonzalez, Eduardo Flores, please come on up. Anybody? Okay. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Let me keep going down the list here. Eduardo Flores, Zenaida Carrillo, or Galina Babazania. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you're online, and just go ahead and, okay, we have Maximus Gonzalez, go ahead.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes a todos. Para mí es un placer poder estar aquí nuevamente. Es un honor que ustedes nos puedan dar la oportunidad de poder expresarnos. Antes que nada, les agradezco la oportunidad y quiero que sepan algo muy importante. Soy madre soltera, mi hijo está ahí, está estudiando. Tenemos la oportunidad de que esta escuela nos está brindando el colegio. No están perdiendo el tiempo los chicos desde el 9º grado. Les dan la oportunidad de ir al colegio. Y yo les pregunto a ustedes, ¿qué padres no queremos que nuestros hijos vayan al colegio desde el 9º grado? Que no estén perdiendo el tiempo en una escuela. Esta escuela, señores, quiero que sepan que son el futuro del mañana, porque se están preparando emocionalmente, se están preparando profesionalmente, pero ante todo están estudiando una carrera que puede ser militar, puede ser de la Fuerza Aérea. Son gente que son jóvenes que se están preparando para servir a nuestro país. Yo les pido a todos ustedes como padres que les den la oportunidad. Créanme, muchos jóvenes, a pesar de este calor, están allá afuera. Jóvenes que vienen de Palmdale, de Lancaster, de Los Ángeles, de todas las áreas alrededor de San Fernando, llegan ahí. A ellos no les afecta tomar el bus a las 5, a las 4 de la mañana, llegar a la escuela temprano para poder servir. Ustedes pueden verificar que en nuestra escuela hay jóvenes que ya están sirviendo para el país, para esta nación. Hay algo muy importante, un eslogan que se ha dicho mucho tiempo y yo lo quiero repetir. Sí se puede. Y yo sé que sí se puede y ustedes nos van a ayudar. Y les pido humildemente y les dejo mis oraciones porque sé que lo pueden hacer. De favor les pido, como toda la gente que está. Lamentablemente yo no pude llegar ahí personalmente porque tengo fibromialgia y el calor a mí me hace daño.
No hay
Pero
problema. Muchas
afuera,
gracias
afuera,
por.
hay
Ya,
muchos padres que
tiempo ya
están
se
afuera, al
acabó.
igual que nuestros hijos. Por
Ajá,
favor, les pido que nos den la oportunidad de que ellos sigan estudiando
gracias.
en el colegio. Muchas gracias. Bendiciones a todos. Gracias por escucharme.
Okay, go, next is Jordan Guillen. I know you're online and you asked that you're.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, perfect. My name is Jordan Guillen, and I'm sure you've heard my story, but let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a proud, low-income, first-generation, queer, multiracial individual, a proud alumni of the NVMI and Los Angeles Mission College class of 2019, and an even prouder alumni of the UC Davis class of 2022. I was one of NVMI's first graduates to graduate with an associate's degree. As I reflected of where I am today, I realized that the roots of who I am have been molded by my community, the community that I found at NVMI as an 8th grader. Little did I know that the community that I built within NVMI would be a quintessential part of the person I am today and who I will be. I found the true meaning of community during the winter quarter of my senior year of high school, when my life was forever changed when my mom unexpectedly passed away. I questioned and pondered why she was taken away from me so early, yet I didn't have an answer. And that's when I realized that some things in life don't have clear answers, but some do. The clear answer was that I was not alone. I had a community. NVMI opened their arms and hearts during a time where I did not want to continue. I often reflect this moment. I truly know if I was anywhere else, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would have been lost in a system that is well known to forget people like me, a nobody. This is just one of the many things that NVMI has provided for me. NVMI gives individuals a community built on resilience and diligence. Like many of you, I have experience with underserved communities. We can all agree that many people have trouble finding a place to call home, especially when we have institutions that were created to be against us. Yet NVMI goes beyond and gives individuals the opportunities to find themselves and their communities. I implore you to truly take a moment to make a big decision. You have so many futures at the hands of your fingertips. And if you take away the only community that some of these students have, who knows where they will go? Will you give them the care that NVMI provides? Will you ensure that each of these students get the necessary education and ensure they don't fall through the cracks of the public school sector?
Mr. Guillen, your time is up. If you could wrap up, please.
Yeah, my final thoughts. I hope you would be able to give these students opportunities to work towards their dreams, the abilities to find their passions, to learn more about themselves, the ability to work and give back to their communities, just like I am doing today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so is there anyone else online that's speaking on this issue? Okay, I think we are down to a couple of the last, yes.
If not, I'll just take 1 minute on behalf of Matt Smith, who is
Okay.
one of our board members.
Yeah, can you state your name?
Sure.
and-
Mark Ryan, the head of the North Valley Military.
Okay,
This is really a very simple issue that has gotten very complicated, and it didn't need to be this complicated. The question is, please consider a lease, you being a landlord for NVMI. That's really all it is. Your legal counsel said this at the last meeting. I realize there are other concerns, but the question before you is very simple. Please consider being our landlord. We would never have made this request if we didn't believe all along that this was basically a done deal. We've been working with the amazing leadership at Mission College. President Ornelas and Vice President Cantu have been incredible at helping to make this happen. And we've been operating under the assumption that the lease was just a simple box that needed to be checked. And we did put our eggs into that basket, but we put our eggs into that basket because we had no reason to believe that there was going to be any other opposition. The final thing I'll say is that I realize there were concerns voiced last time about, well, what happens if NVMI doesn't pay? We've agreed to put all $207,000 into an escrow account up front that you can draw down on. So that solves the question of, well, what happens if NVMI doesn't pay? Final piece of that is, if there are concerns about NVMI, those are concerns between us and our authorizer, which is Los Angeles County Office of Ed. They are responsible for reviewing a material revision to our charter, which is a necessary second step to this process. But step number one is we need the lease so we can submit a material revision to the county. All we're asking is for a special meeting for this item to be agendized so that we can get hopefully your approval, and then we can go to LACO to get a material revision submitted and hopefully approved by LACO. If it turns out that LACO says no, then LACO are the bad guys. But in this case, all we're asking you to do is be our landlord. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And last, and I want to be fair and give the people in this list another opportunity. Jeanette Ballesteros, Gabriela Oppinger, Olga Fuentes, Lourdes Gonzalez, Eduardo Flores, Zenaida Carrillo, Galinda Badvanza. Did everyone get a chance to speak? Okay, everyone got a chance. All right, so. Oh, but did you already speak? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Myself, my name is Galina Babajani, as you know.
Yes,
and our
you were
son-
there. Yeah.
Yeah, our son Leonardo is a student at MUMI. I currently hold an undergraduate degree in criminal justice administration and an MBA in finance. So I'm no stranger to education and the idea that education is of utmost importance to not only surviving, but thriving in this world. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about my family story and how we came across NVMI, in addition to why it's so important for our family to send our son to this school. When we first came across NVMI, we were impressed at what we saw. We saw that the schools were, specifically the students, and how respectful they were towards their superiors and whatnot. We hadn't seen anything like this before in any of the schools that we've tried, and we've tried so many schools. Unfortunately, we were only able to experience what MVMI has to offer for a short period of time, about a semester, until we found out that the school might not operate. However, within that short period of time, we did notice more positive changes in our son than we had ever seen throughout his entire educational experience. We noticed that he had more respect towards his parents, his schools, and his peers. He had more drive to succeed. He even mapped out an entire career plan for himself, which he had never done before. The most important change we have seen in our son is the motivation to learn. Our son's goal is to attend military academy after high school and eventually join the Marine Corps and then pursue a career as a medic or a doctor. He knows what he wanted and he was going for it at MGMI. We couldn't have been more happier with the changes we saw, and we strongly believe that if a school can't sustain the desire to learn, then it has already failed its students. Education should be something that students crave and thrive off of, not something that is forced on them through standards and systems that have systematically failed their students in the past. Albert Einstein once said that education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. This quote is so important because it states how education goes
Thank
beyond.
you so much.
I'm almost done. Give me like 1 minute, okay? How education is so important to students. Education is about the experience they have, and it helps them grow into
Thank
being
you so
productive
much.
citizens, okay?
I really appreciate it. We really do.
Please consider adding the lease, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then finally it's Hans Johnson, Mr. Johnson.
Hello, board members. I'm Hans Johnson. I'm here on behalf of the East Area Progressive Democrats, representing also Rafael Chagoya, Army veteran and chair of our Veterans Committee, and James Tabor, another Marine representative on our Veterans Committee. They wish they could be here today. I'm glad that I stayed, because I'm here today in part to convey what is not being said by the representatives of NVMI who are here today. I'm here to report that actually the revocation of their charter is underway by their authorizing agency, the LA County Office of Education. I'm also here to report what they are not conveying to this board in a desperate plea for a lifeline. That is, that their grades 6 to 8 were summarily cut off just in the last month, triggering a search for new school by hundreds of former NVMI students and their families. They have missed deadlines for material revision regarding this and several other major changes to their operations and programming. The resignation of several board members has left their board completely depleted, and those that do remain had their terms expire on Friday. They've had key staff, including those overseeing special education, depart, And LACO has already warned them about the failure to have any of their necessary IEPs completed during previous school years. Media reporting about them has shown an important lawsuit around neglectful hiring, and they've lost key staff at the instructional and administrative level. These are incredibly woeful concerns, and they should not be here misinformed about what the responsibilities and the power of this board is. Thank you for doing your oversight, and thank you for taking these concerns seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, so I just want to let everybody know, I really want, the board here wants to thank all of you in coming here to downtown. We want to say that we will take all of these comments into consideration. It is not fallen on deaf ears. We are going to take these comments into consideration. Please, drive safe. Please want to thank you. Very appreciative. Unfortunately, it's not an agenda item, and I apologize, but we cannot discuss it any further. But I did want to have the courtesy to and the respect to all of you who have come so far from the Valley to drive here. We really appreciate your comments, your input, your feedback. We want to thank the students for being here. You should be very proud of yourselves and how you acted today in advocating for yourselves. So thank you so much. We will take all of these points into consideration. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you. All right, next up is recess to closed session. If there's any request to speak on closed session, Crystal? Not? Okay, hearing none. Can I have a motion to recess into closed session?
Moved.
So moved by Eno, second by Henderson. Hearing no opposition to that, meeting adjourned. Or we're going into closed session. Yeah, if you guys want 5 minutes breaks. Yeah, okay.